Gamescom studio powered by IGN. The Elder Scrolls Online is the massively popular online RPG that somehow just keeps getting bigger and better. Here to tell me what's coming next is Matt Firor, president of ZeniMax Online. Welcome to IGN.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So, you recently launched the Necrom chapter of Elder Scrolls Online. How has that gone?
It's great. It's the highest Metacritic rated chapter we've had in ESO, and we've had many. So it's good. It's been well received by the community. It's a lot of fun. We introduced a new class, so it's got pretty much everything our players want.
That new class, I believe, is the Arcanist class.
Yep.
What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we've added a few new classes since launch, and with the Arcanist we wanted to be a little different, so we made it a little more fun to play. It's got really cool audio, it's got really cool effects, and we've noticed a lot of our players are re-rolling and are playing up to max level with Arcanist. So little pressure to go back and make the other classes as cool at this point, but that's a good problem, right?
Yeah.
It's like people really dig it.
So if someone's brand new to ESO, how long would it take them to reach the Necrom content?
That is the magic of ESO. There's no level gating. So you can literally buy the game and be playing Necrom immediately. And that's actually one of the key reasons why ESO is so popular, because you never get left behind. So you never have to level up to max level to get to the new stuff, because you can just play it immediately.
Do you have a personal favorite class?
Well, my first class, as always, is a Templar. So,
gotcha.
which is kind of you can be a tank, you can be a healer. It's very flexible. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're here at Gamescom. What's ESO's presence like here? I hear you have a pretty impressive statue at your booth.
Yeah, so the Necrom story is based around a Daedric prince, an Elder Scrolls Daedric prince named Hermaeus Mora, and he's basically a giant Lovecraftian tentacle monster.
Cool.
And so we have him at our booth, which is right back there, and he's like 20 feet tall and 25 feet on his side. He's huge, immense. It's a great opportunity to get your picture taken with a Daedric prince. So.
I think there's even an opportunity for fans to win a free copy of the ESO base game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's happening later this afternoon.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just released Update 39 on PC. Console players will get it on September 5th. What are the most notable updates there?
Yeah, so we're doing something different this year. Usually we just have 4 content drops through the year with major chapters and DLCs, but for this one, we're doing mostly just refining kind of the entry to the game for new players and bug fixing and quality of life fixes, because ESO's been around for a while.
Sure.
So there's always things we can do to make it better for new players and for veteran players, and that's what this update's focused on.
And for the new players, is it true you've actually sort of removed the amount of quests that they're being offered in the early game?
It doesn't remove the quests, it removes the quest indicators.
Oh, okay.
So when you first go into the game, you don't just see every NPC running up to you,
Gotcha.
Demanding your attention, because it gets confusing after 9.5 years of adding quests, right? So we're basically showing new players kind of the quests that we think are the ones that'll help them get into the game the best.
Yeah, you mentioned ESO's been around a long time now, 9.5 years. It'll turn 10 years next year.
Next year.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. It's a milestone for a game like this.
Anything you can share about the future of ESO?
No, we're obviously going to have a 10-year anniversary events and in-game and out-of-game starting next year. But remember, ESO launched in 2014 on PC, but it launched in 2015 on console.
Right.
So we're going to take that time in between and make it kind of a year-long celebration. So details will come later in the year. We're still working on them, but it's going to be fun.
Well, Elder Scrolls Online is really the little online RPG that could. Congratulations on all the success. Look forward to what's next.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. The Elder Scrolls Online is available now on PlayStation, Xbox, including Game Pass, PC, and originally launched on the Epic Games Store. We've got lots more games right here on Gamescom Studios, so don't go anywhere.
Okay, so here's the deal. The components are kept in high-security cooling containers somewhere in the storage yard. The clock starts ticking as soon as the components are out in the open, so you need to haul ass to get them to the transport. Take too long, and they'll start to degrade and lose value. Now, do what you need to do to get ready. I'll see you on the other side.
Hey everybody, Seth Macy at the Xbox booth. We are right outside Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. I am with Destin Legary. Destin, you played Stalker 2.
I sure did. It was the first game I went to, and they just let me in to play it. I was very surprised. I will say this. The gameplay still seems a little bit early. Like, they definitely have a lot of polish to do.
Okay.
And if you're new to the Stalker franchise, just a heads up, this game is difficult. There's inventory management in the style of a game like Escape from Tarkov, if you're familiar with it. And the AI, I saw some YouTubers out there saying that the AI seems a little easy.
Okay.
It was not easy. They'll flank you, they'll rush you, and I really, really enjoyed the experience, but I had to reset my expectations about what Stalker is. So if you're a Stalker fan that has been playing the game since the beginning, you're gonna get exactly what you wanted.
Okay.
Yeah.
What surprised you during your time here with Stalker 2?
Well, I don't know if it's a surprise. One thing I really enjoyed was it opens you up, it gives you the bolt, and you can throw it at anomalies. And yes, you can still jump through them. As a matter of fact, it seems like they're leaning into that mechanic. So you throw your bolt out, have the anomaly discharge, and then you rush through it to get past that hurdle, so to speak. A very interesting mechanic that's utilized early on, and then they just kind of send you out into the open world. You fight some mutant dogs, and you're constantly worried about ammo management because one reload could mean life or death for your character.
So it's a tense experience.
It definitely is. It's definitely not an easy game. You're going to need to be mindful of your inventory, how many bullets you have in your particular weapon, and how you're utilizing the gear that you have. Constantly loot everybody, make sure that you're getting the best gear that you have, dispose of the old stuff. As far as I can tell, no, you cannot pick up a body and use it as a carrying bag, so to speak.
That's a big miss.
Yeah, not really. But I'm actually more excited about Stalker 2 than I was before.
Oh yeah? Okay, cool.
I really like those type of experiences where it's almost a sim, right? There's stamina that you have to manage, there's health that you have to manage. Seems to be a sleep indicator where you're going to have to rest at certain parts of the game, and I just cannot wait to see more.
Nice.
One last thing. So near the end of the demo, what we saw was the cloud, the sky went red, and it was very crazy, like some crazy sort of storm. And I wasn't quite sure what was happening, so I just went into cover, and then my demo time expired. But all of that stuff that I experienced, it's just like the first few minutes of the game. So attacked by a big pack of wild dogs, these people that want to murder me just swarming me, and they were doing quite well. To be fair, I did throw a grenade at them as soon as I realized they were an opponent.
Nice.
And there was a lot more to consider in combat than a game like Call of Duty would throw at you.
Sure.
This is not Call of Duty. Think more Escape from Tarkov, or if you're a Stalker fan who's flaming me in the comments, it's probably exactly what you want. It seems like more Stalker to me.
All right, cool.
So I think people are gonna like it when they play it.
How does the gunplay feel?
It feels good.
Yeah.
Like, guns work as expected. They can actually malfunction, it would seem. We've seen that in some of the trailers where it seems like some of the guns can have issues that you'll have to deal with. So there are a lot of different aspects to Stalker 2 that I think will be overwhelming for new fans, but if you embrace them and try and learn them, I think you're gonna have a great time.
All right. Anything else we need to know about Stalker 2?
You need to play it.
Okay.
Definitely. I have the original games installed on my PC. Now I need to make time and go play video games.
Should I play them as someone who maybe isn't that great at managing his own life?
Yes. All the more reason.
Sweet. Well, that's Stalker 2, Destin. Sound like you had a great time. Thanks so much for talking to us about it. We are at the Xbox booth at Gamescom. This is day one. For more Gamescom, don't even think about leaving IGN.
everybody,
everybody, Max Scoville here. We are at Gamescom 2023, and I'm with my esteemed colleague, Alex Simmons, who just got a chance to play RoboCop Rogue City. What did you make of it? It's a RoboCop game, but is it fun?
Slow is the main thing. Like, RoboCop is super methodical in how he moves. He doesn't run about like you would normally do in a shooter. He doesn't really use cover like you would normally do in a shooter. He's a bullet sponge that just walks into the middle of the firefight, gets shot from every direction, but equally, he's RoboCop, so he dishes out loads of death, I guess.
It seemed, I got to watch you play a bit. It seemed good on a lot of levels, but I do have some questions and some hesitation. He's got his iconic sidearm, which is an awesome gun. Can you use other guns?
So you can. Like, the Auto 9 is his main weapon, and you can upgrade it a lot to have armor piercing, explosives, etc. But you can pick up grenade launchers, and you can pick up other weapons. But frankly, I didn't have to. Like, we played a new level of the game, which is very much combat focused. It's about a third of the way into the game, and throughout 15 minutes, I think I died once. And that was my own mistake because I forgot to pick up a battery, which is the health pack in the game. And so it's almost like RoboCop is invincible. And if you've got this great gun, why do you need a grenade launcher?
Yeah, it's sort of I don't know, it's a little bit of a quandary there. Now, something that strikes me as interesting is this is also adding some like crime-solving elements, some puzzle elements, some branching narrative elements. Can you talk about those a little bit?
So they hinted at it, but they've not really shown exactly what it means. There's one part in this level where you find a perpetrator and you give them a choice. You can either show your empathy side, your human side, and let them off with a caution, or you can be RoboCop, give them a ticket. Now, the dev has hinted that that has much bigger implications later in the game, to the point where it affects endgame. But for me, all I saw was somebody being just a little bit hacked off with me, a few swear words, and off they went.
Now, this is the same studio that did Terminator Resistance, which, again, was a thing that could have probably just been a straightforward shooter, but it had a bunch of surprisingly ambitious RPG elements.
Yeah.
That had romance options, very, very sexy ones. A lot of people don't even know that. I feel like they're kind of taking a similar approach here. There was a whole bomb defusal sequence, which was felt like almost a Resident Evil puzzle.
It's super simple. It is like, which wire is the one to cut before it blows your face off. And again, they've hinted that there's way more stuff like that. This was combat, and there's going to be a lot more investigation. RoboCop's not really known for his investigation. It's dead or alive, you're coming with me. But apparently he does go out there, he looks for clues, evidence. I've not seen any of that, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. No, it's sort of quizzical. This game is supposedly coming out very, very soon, so I'm skeptical, but kind of curious at the same time. It's also an Unreal 5 game. It's one of the first sort of wave of, more advanced, more polished games to come out. What was your takeaway on sort of the technical side of it?
So it looks gorgeous, and obviously RoboCop himself is super pristine. You can't fault that side of it at all. Even when he's going through the mission and he's shooting stuff, the destruction looks great. It's got that 80s jank, and I don't know if that's on purpose or whether it's just how the game is developed, but it feels authentic. Because the dialogue, even that, is super cheesy.
There was one instance where you shot a guy in the crotch and his animation falling over was like excessively drawn out, and I was like, that's some Verhoeven stuff right there. That's spot on.
Well, I would buy that for $1.
Yeah, I would buy that for $1. I was really impressed. Also, the destruction physics were really cool. Like everything was just getting blown apart. Like just a ton of that.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing. Obviously, you've got your Auto 9, but you can use anything that you come up in against the game. In this one level, there were these bikers that were attacking me, moving super fast, hard to shoot. But being RoboCop, you can just pick up like a dustbin, throw it at them, knock it off their bike, and then when they're off, you can then pick up the bike and then throw the bikes at the bikes.
That's the part that got me kind of interested. Because I think it's RoboCop has his strengths, literally and otherwise, and his weaknesses. And again, the sort of the plotting approach is it's tank controls. Like he is kind of tanky, and it's. Now they mentioned, I think you can pick up other weapons. You mentioned the grenade launcher.
Yeah.
I feel like he does get the big 50 cal sniper rifle at some point in the movies, right? And
yes. And then at one point you do fight the guys that have got that. There was one bit where you go into a room where there are snipers, grenade launchers, and people with massive machine guns. You can go and pick them up, and you can use them if you want. But again, the Auto 9 was so powerful. I was like, hey, I'll just stick with this.
It's interesting. I'm curious to see where this goes exactly. There was Did they talk about lore at all, like where it takes place in the timeline?
So it takes place directly after RoboCop 2 and before 3. In terms of story, all we know so far is that obviously Rogue City is overthrown by these street vultures, which is this gang. And obviously there is this friction between OCP and RoboCop. Like, you go up against OCP in a lot of the levels, and if you do well, you get bonus points to go towards XP. If you don't, well, you're just going to be lowly Robo.
Interesting. Now, there's one mechanic that I thought was very, very authentic, where he could bust through walls and do sort of a breach mechanic.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Did that feel good? That's one of those ones you kind of need to do it yourself.
Of course, but it's exactly like, I guess it's the same thing that you would see in Call of Duty. You bust through a wall, everything goes into slow motion, you pop out the pistol, and then headshots all around. Yeah, it feels great. And I'd like to see more of that. I think that ultimately that was my takeaway. I kind of like what I've seen so far, or it's got me interested, but I want to see all the other stuff that's being spoken about. I want to see the investigation side. I want to see the differences that those choices make. And hopefully that will be in the next thing that we see.
Yeah, well, one way or the other, RoboCop Rogue City is coming out sooner than later, which is kind of shocking. Would you buy it for $1? We'll kind of have to wait and see, but we've got lots more coverage coming out of Gamescom, so stick around.
Now, a lot of indie games make you think outside the box, but this next one is more about thinking outside the books. Here to tell us about the puzzle adventure, The Plucky Squire, please welcome James Turner. Welcome to the IGN studio here.
Thank you.
So, Plucky Squire, this is a game about storybook characters that partially takes place in storybooks, but they can also leave the storybooks and adventure in the real world. Is that accurate?
That's accurate, yes.
Yeah, sort of tell us what the whole idea of the game is.
So the idea is that you play as the hero of a storybook, and the book is all about them, but there's a villain who is kind of resentful of the fact that the hero gets all the limelight, and they want to kick the hero out of the book, grab the limelight for themselves, and become the new hero of the book. And you play as Jot, who is the hero and has to stop this villain from his diabolical plans.
What do we need to know about this villain? Why is the villain so jealous of Jot?
Well, this is a land of creativity, the land that the book features, and Humgrump has never been a very creative kind of guy, and there's Jot running around this land, being a hero, and he's also a writer to rub salt into the wound. He's like a published author, and everyone loves his books. And Humgrump is just very resentful of all the attention that he gets, and all the fans that he has, and he thinks he wants a bit of that for himself, and this is his chance. He discovers a new kind of magic that allows him to push Jot out of the book, and this is his chance to grab that limelight.
Is this Jot that we're seeing right here?
Yeah, that's right. The guy with the feather in his cap, that's Jot, yeah.
So it takes place inside the books. When you leave the books, how does the gameplay change?
Well, in the book, it's kind of a 2D top-down adventure. Right. And when you get out of the book, you can run around on the desk. It becomes all about the third dimension. And so the gameplay, it kind of shares similarities. You're running around, you're fighting monsters, but the extra dimension gives you new gameplay opportunities, and there are illustrations on the desk that you can jump into because you can pass between the 2D and 3D worlds. And so you can explore this desk, you can explore these bits of media on the desk and pop into them, play this little game here, pop out, go to a different place. So there's lots of surprises and interesting things for you to discover and explore.
And are we controlling Jot, or do we control his friends also?
Well, mostly you control Jot.
Okay.
But there are certain very specific points in the game where the control switches over, and you do get to play as his two friends.
Do they have different abilities?
Depending on the minigame.
Okay.
Their abilities are very much tailored to the minigame. So I think in the trailer we showed the first trailer, we showed a minigame where Jot is boxing of an enemy, and Thrash, who's the mountain troll with the blue skin, he is a drummer, so he gets to showcase his drumming abilities in the minigame. And then Violet, she's a witch, a trainee witch, so she gets to showcase her magic casting abilities in her minigame.
So fitting for a storybook, I believe the game is broken up into chapters. Does that sort of act as the level progression?
Yes, that's right, yeah. So it seemed like a good way to divide everything up. And we have chapters that are more based around the story, and they're a little bit shorter. And then we have chapters that are more gameplay focused, and they kind of expand out and take up quite a bit of a good chunk of playtime. So a lot of the time you'll be adventuring through the book, and then you'll get to a point in the chapter that you can't progress, and then your mentor, Moonbeard, who's a wizard, tells you you need to get out of the book to find a specific item that can help you. And that's when you jump out and you have an adventure around the desk, find the item, and return to the book. So that's kind of the template for how chapters go. But we do like to change it up and pull the rug from under the player from time to time, keep things fresh.
Sure. Yeah, we just saw a little bit of that, leaving the book and then coming back into it.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little of the 3D into 2D and then back into 3D mechanic of Super Mario Odyssey,
right.
Or even A Link Between Worlds.
Right.
Were those sort of inspirations for you? I know you've worked on Nintendo properties before.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Like, I wouldn't say that the game idea came from that. It was more like we wanted to create a game that took place in a book. That was the initial idea, starting point. And then what if you could get out of the book? So then naturally, you're thinking of 2D and 3D and how you mix that up. And then as like points of reference, we would look at Odyssey or Zelda and see how they might accomplish something. And so they were kind of things to be aware of and think about how they maximized like that idea. Yeah, so the good reference points to look at. Yeah.
The storybooks also, they obviously have text in them. It seems like there's some wordplay puzzles, or maybe you have to change the words in a storybook in order to pass an obstacle. Can you talk a bit about that?
Well, we wanted to, I think whenever you make a game, it's good to lean into whatever makes that game unique. So this takes place in a book, and the idea was, how could we create a game loop that most leans into that idea? And so the first thing that came to mind was, well, books, they're dictated by the narration on the page. And what if you could mess with that? What if you could change that around and change the reality of what's actually happening in the page? That seemed like a unique thing to try and aim for. And once we kind of grasped onto that as an idea, it's like, okay, this is kind of a backbone of the game. And yeah, something that we really have been enjoying exploring in the game's design.
Which is, I think, what we just saw here. They just changed the word night to daytime.
Yes.
They changed the scene to daytime, and the monsters went to sleep.
Yes.
So you can progress.
Exactly. And at first we had more conservative ways of doing that, less large scale. Like maybe you'd make a bridge extend or make a door open, but we realized it's more fun the bigger swing that you go for, like turning night to day, or a moat that is empty of water and then suddenly becomes full with water. Like the bigger effects you have on the world, it feels more something that not just a Switch can do. It's something like you feel like you're changing the reality.
Okay, so the Plucky Squire was also recently part of the Devolver Delayed showcase. Meaning, of course, it's been delayed into 2024. Was that a tough decision?
It was, of course, like once you've stated the game is coming out in 2023, you're kind of always reluctant to make any changes to that. Sure. Like you have people who are expecting, like the players are expecting, and then your publisher is expecting. So it's never a particularly fun thing to think that you might want to go beyond that. But it's always like, how do we make this game the best possible game it can be? And like we feel like there are so many different types of gameplay in this game. There are so many different mini games, and there's the 2D exploration and the 3D exploration, and we want each element to be intuitive and polished and feel good, and that just takes time to polish.
Sure.
And once we realized, well, this is going to take a bit more time to craft it to be exactly what we want it to be, then it's a hard decision, but it's like, well, this is the right thing to do. And once we've decided it's the right thing to do, it's just a matter of talking to people and figuring out like how much time we need to be able to do that.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but there are quite a few games coming out in 2023, so maybe it's not so bad.
Right, yes.
Look forward to this in 2024. I'm going to go ahead and put the Plucky Squire on my short list of games I'm looking forward to play next year. Thank you so much for coming by the IGN studio.
Great, it was great. Lovely to talk to you.
Okay, the Plucky Squire has PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and Nintendo Switch, and PC sometime next year. Keep watching IGN Studio here at Gamescom for more. are responsible for some of the most iconic superhero movies of the 21st century, and their next project, Rebel Moon, is a space opera that takes us to a whole new galaxy. Please welcome director Zack Snyder and producer Deborah Snyder. Welcome to the IGN studio.
Awesome.
So cool to have you here. So last night, opening night live at Gamescom, you showed the trailer. I was fortunate enough to be there, so I got to look at it. Looked very cool. I think we'll be bringing that up in just a moment. But let's begin at the beginning. Rebel Moon was famously an idea for Star Wars. What changes have you been able to make now that it's no longer tied to an existing universe?
Well, it was an evolution anyway. You know, like when we started working on the idea, before even it was a Star Wars movie in my mind, it was, you know, a put a team together movie. It was. I'm a huge fan of. There's an adult illustrated fantasy magazine called Heavy Metal that I always was in love with. Just the tone of that really was inspirational to me. Even when I was in the early talks with Kathleen Kennedy about maybe making a Star Wars movie, I would say things like, maybe it could be rated R, you know, and and they would say, yeah, no, that's crazy. So I knew there was going to be, it was going to be a bit of a slog.
Sure.
But then after the sale, and you know they had their own sort of vision for what the Star Wars universe would be, it was clear to me pretty much at that point that it wasn't going to be, you know, anything to do with this idea. And Debbie was super happy about that.
I was really happy.
Really?
Well, I felt like he envisioned this as something that was wholly original. And I felt like I know after working a decade on DC what canon means and what it means to the fans. And I just felt like there would be too many rules and that he could really kind of go crazy if it was something that was original and he, you know, the handcuffs were off.
Sure. Well, from the footage that we've seen, you know, I'd say it has a very different visual look from Star Wars. Maybe more like a space sword and sandal epic than sci-fi. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say yeah. I mean, I feel like it's science fantasy more than say hard science fiction.
Sure.
You know, and I think that was really what I always wanted to do to begin with. You know, it's more of a Knight's Tale than say, you know, in the tradition of even the costumes and everything. I really wanted this sort of ornate, kind of ancient kingdom that the Mother World represents. Was a thing that I was really interested in, and sort of aesthetically kind of pursuing. Even the robots are, you know, seem old.
Sure.
And I guess that was really a thing that I was inspired by and kind of chasing in the design. Yeah, so it definitely. I mean, I think in answer to the original question is it's gone on a huge evolution since those early days.
Sure. You mentioned robots. You got a great cast for this film, by the way. I believe Sir Anthony Hopkins is playing a particular robot. You can tell us about that character? Yeah,
so he plays what we call affectionately Jimmy. That's not his real name, but that's what they call the robots. All the robots are Jimmys.
Gotcha.
And he plays one of what a pretty kind of typical battle robot in this world. The only thing that's interesting about these robots is that after the king and Isa are killed, and the queen are killed, the robots whose initial sort of purpose was to protect the royal family, they kind of don't know what to do themselves, and so they end up kind of becoming these sort of conscientious objectors. They don't really fight anymore. And so there's like this whole journey of discovery that Jimmy's on, that Anthony Hopkins robot is on. But he's like one of many, like he's like this one of many robots that would kind of be in this same moral quandary that he's in.
Can you tell us more about the Imperium, the sort of like evil empire at the center of Rebel Moon?
Yeah, so the affectionately we call the Mother World, and their forces are an ancient civilization that have, over the years, sort of been led by a single king or line of kings. And they sort of have used up all the resources on their own planet and then basically set off into the stars and basically have been collecting and expanding for thousands of years.
Interesting. Sophia Boutella leads the warriors as Korra.
Yeah.
How'd you end up casting Sophia? What was it like working with her?
Sophia's amazing. I had her in mind really from the beginning.
Very
I would
much
tell
so.
Debbie about, I really wanted Sophia to be this character, and everyone was like, okay, that could be cool, but we should probably look for do like a real audition and
Go through the motions.
go through the. And I was like, okay, well, sure, but
And we tested 5 women.
Yeah.
And Sophia really just shined through because, it's such a difficult role because her character is so complex. She's also the heart of the film, but she also, the physicality required to do the role is just, it was so important to us that it was believable that she was this amazing warrior. And she has a dance background.
Right.
And incredibly, she learned all the choreography so quick, and she wanted to do all of the fighting herself, and she did, other than one, we were going to throw her character off the side of a scaffolding, and we were all like, that's not really safe for you to do. She wanted to do it, but everything else she did all her own fighting.
Interesting. So Rebel Moon has been announced. It's going to be a 2-parter. What was the reasoning behind that? And do you know the total runtime of them both put together?
Movie 2 we're still
working on.
cutting, so I don't know the exact runtime, but they're about 2 hours each.
Gotcha.
The movies themselves, right around 2 hours. I think movie 2 is under 2 hours, but right now. But what was the first part of the question?
Well, just what was the reasoning, the thinking behind that? Is it just because you needed more time to?
Oh yeah. So I had written a pretty long script, 200-page script, and the cool thing about Netflix was there's. When I said, maybe maybe a way to go is to just break it into 2 movies because for sure I could cut it to 1, but it's going to kind of make the movie very sort of by the numbers. When you get that, especially a movie like this that's sort of genre specific, like we know the mission, got to put the team together, you got to prepare for battle and then fight them. Not that that's what's going to happen, but that becomes kind of obvious. And then when you really put the screws to something like that, the beats become really set in stone, and there's not a lot of room to move around. And I think by letting it be 2 movies, it really let us kind of have a lot more character and a lot more worlds to visit and just be more overall exotic and unexpected.
Well, now you mentioned, you explained at Opening Night Live last night, there's a Rebel Moon game also coming from Super Evil Megacorp, developer of the very good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate game, which is on Apple Arcade. I recommend it. Anything else you can tell us about the game of Rebel Moon?
Well, one thing I could say about it is that the guys over there have been incredibly reverent and faithful to the source material, and they've been incredibly inclusive and really want to talk with me constantly about mythology and about the canon and about the world. And so I would say that though it, as a game, it really will expand sort of the mythology of the universe, and not, even though it's definitely sort of an add-on to the universe I didn't expect, it was a cool place where we thought to explore other things that are happening in the Rebel Moon universe. And the guys have been great to go. I'd say, guys, we can't do we can't do that. And then they'd come back, well, what about this? And so we were really, I think, able to land on something that was really world building, but also consistent with the world. So that was fun.
Very cool. Well, we're here at the world's biggest gaming convention, so I have to ask you, is there any gaming property that you both think would make a great movie?
There are
Well, there are a lot. I mean, we've talked about a bunch of, Gears has always come up, in sort of our circle.
Interesting.
And I was a fan of the game. So, off the top of my head, that one. I was always interested in the Halo franchise, so that was something that I'd always, and they've, of course, kind of made that, but it was something I always thought could be incredible.
Well, thank you both so much. I'm really excited to watch Rebel Moon when it premieres on Netflix later this year.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
This is great.
Thank
So
you.
fun.
Viewers, you can take your first step into a larger world when Rebel Moon premieres on Netflix December 22nd. In the meantime, stick around for more Gamescom Studio right here on IGN.
Hey everybody, Seth Macy here for IGN. I'm at Cities in the Sky here at Gamescom. I'm about to sit down in a gamer chair, and then they're gonna lift me 50 meters into the sky on a crane. For Americans, that's about 150 feet in freedom measurements. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. And I'm gonna be playing City Skylines 2 while I dangle in the sky over a city. So it's extremely literal. Yeah, here we go. We're going into the sky. I'm gonna play a video game at 150 feet in the sky. It's normal. It's just a normal thing. It's just a normal day. Wow, there's still more. We're still going up more. I think we've come to a stop. All right, let's take a look. Wow. There's a blood that's growing. Okay, right now we're spinning around, and I tend to get a little motion sick when I'm reading things and I'm also moving. Thankfully, I'm just gonna play the demo of City Skylines 2. Gaming time in the sky. Let's go! Hey, look, it's me. The sun is directly behind me, as is the Dom. What's up, Dom? So it's kind of hard for me to see my screen. So I'm just gonna I guess I'm just gonna enjoy the fact that I'm 150 feet up in the sky on a beautiful day in Cologne. Well, I just came down from my City in the Sky adventure, where I was building a city literally in the sky in City Skylines 2. Please, I'm proud to present Skytown, USA. Center of industry, a center of commerce, a few houses. You know, I wasn't as nervous as I thought I was gonna be, but there were a couple times where something would clang and I'd be like, whoop, whoop, then I just lost my cool. But then I'd try to compose again. But yeah, I was dangling my feet. I was having a good old time. Being 50 meters in the air on a beautiful sun-filled day in Cologne, Germany is less than optimal, because what would happen is I would spin around and then the sun would completely obscure the view of my beautiful city in the sky. I would love to do this again. We were quite an attraction. People were beeping at us, yelling at us. Everybody was having a good time. I think everybody was having a good time. I can't say that for a fact. I was having a good time. But yeah, I would absolutely do this again. You know what the only thing that was missing was? A big old steak. I want to play a video game and eat a big old steak in the sky. We're at Gamescom merch area powered by Mini, and we're gonna go shopping.
Yeah, we're ready to spend some money and buy some stuff that we can give the crowd at the Gamescom Award.
Wait, no, but we get to keep. We're buying stuff like you and me. We're gonna split.
We'll buy that,
Okay.
and then we throw it to the crowd at the award. We'll keep it. Yeah, we'll definitely keep it.
Yes, awesome. All right. Well, do you want to go shopping right now?
Yeah, who's paying?
IGN is paying. We don't have to pay for anything.
Let's go!
Let's go! Some Disney Lorcana cards to throw into the crowd at the Gamescom Awards. Get people hyped.
Okay.
Let's get the big one.
Yeah. The time is now, Mr. Man. Yeah, dude, let's go!
Yeah, we'll get this one.
Yeah, we'll
This
get
is
these two. Yeah. I think we need hats.
Everybody loves hats. And they're easier to throw.
Frisbee style.
And if you land one on someone's head in the crowd, 100 points.
Yeah, 100 points. That's a crit. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Maybe next year.
Yeah. We're at the Activision booth, the official Activision merch booth, and now I'm going to shamelessly plug the IGN store because we have an exclusive Diablo 4 Rock Love jewelry collection, which are like cool little necklaces and earrings that you can only get at the IGN store. And they're officially licensed and they're super cool. I don't wear jewelry,
But I'll start today.
uh-huh. But now we should see what they have here.
Let's see.
Let's do it. Look, this is what we're getting.
What is that?
It's tiny little Nintendo figures.
Oh my god, they're so small.
I know, I love them. They're so little.
Oh, look at the Yoshi.
Oh,
It's so
and a little
cute.
Baba, and a little Princess Peach.
Okay, all of
And a
them.
little Link. Yeah, we're getting them all. Alles bitte. That is a good price for a Snorlax Squishmallow, actually.
Grab it. So done.
We did it. We shop till we drop.
I did drop
Here.
indeed.
Take this little fella.
Oh yeah, that's so good.
The merch area powered by Mini at Gamescom is absolutely legit. We have so much stuff. We are now completely ready for the award show.
Oh my god, the awards.
面白くなりそう まさか落書きが喋るわけないじゃん。例の件、やっぱ幽霊列車9号線の伝説に関わってるよな。みんなの幻想がリアルになることがルールなんだ。世界がマジでぐちゃぐちゃだ。私最後までデュラでいられるのかしら。願いが叶いやすいように私が空に流れ星を流してあげる。でもジャイアントと隕石がこの街を滅ぼすって言われてんだぞ。
まだわからないのか。真の悪役はお前たちだ。この街を破壊したのはお前たちだろう。さあ終焉を楽しもうじゃないか。
つまりこれで終わりってことね。
まだ負けを認める時じゃない。
You and I will be stuck all the way to the future. We can define who we want to be. Go into this where I control the face. I finally start to feel the rush in my face. This umbrella is coming close for me. Feeling that it's like I said I'm so free. Following deadly lighting the way. I finally start to feel the rush in my face. No, we have never before.
Peggy 16.
Long ago, in the Age of Darkness, the land of Eredar was ravaged by battles.
We move with haste, for night draws near.
I will not fail you!
Our only enemy are the nightmares of the Veil. We must cooperate. I need someone I can trust.
More nightmares are coming our way! Hold them off!
We're here to help you defend this town.
Save yourselves!
We will rise.
There are too many of them! They just keep coming!
Age of Darkness. Flames of Retribution. Available now.
What's up, Cobra fans? Welcome to Cobra's Corner. Is this for real? Yes, Black Sabbath. 3 huge game developers have gotten together to create the ultimate gaming experience. The top video game players in the world. Are they any good in real-life battle royale type situations? Not this, but actually this. It's not playing around on the screen. We do have ex-Navy SEALs coming down. We need the best of the best. Anybody can play. You just gotta be brave enough to take a bullet. Kilo Kitty wants to know if it hurts. Bam! Of course it hurts. We donate 100 grand worth of cyberlimbs. But there's a chance for fame. There's a chance for fortune. I need you to take her down to Midtown Harbor. Do not up. You can also... Oh, God. Hey, look at me. Welcome to me. Fans, click me, like me. I don't care. Watch me. Don't watch me. I'm over this whole thing. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button at the bottom of the screen.
Day 4 of Gamescom Studio is here. Coming up today, brand new gameplay and deep dives into the hottest upcoming games.
And who the f*** are you?
Stalker 2, Where Winds Meet, Ghostrunner 2, and tons more. Gamescom Studio live on IGN kicks off right now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Day 4 of Gamescom Studio, powered by IGN. I'm Max Scoville.
And I'm Stella Chun. Yesterday, things got pretty wild during the Gamescom award ceremony, and today we have a pretty packed schedule of game demos, interviews, and cool stuff from out on the show floor.
And I'm Damon Hatfield. Here's a look at what's coming up. In just a minute, we've got Where Winds Meet, that massive open-world RPG set in ancient China. Then Ghostrunner 2, which gets even more cyberpunk by adding a sick motorcycle. After that, we're squaring off with the creators of Tekken 8 and monkeying around in Black Myth Wukong.
If you ever want up-to-the-minute info about what's happening at Gamescom, follow the official Gamescom accounts on social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch. Gamescom is everywhere. So, you can also check out now.ign. Whoa, not IGN, Gamescom. You can go there to check out all the Gamescom news as well.
That's also where you can find out more about some of the great causes that Gamescom is involved with. The Gamescom Cares platform is where Gamescom, its exhibitors, and partners come together to work on social responsibility projects, events, and campaigns that address important issues like education, diversity, environmental protection, and aid for those in need.
I know that's a lot of info to dump on you, so thanks for bearing with us. Now, let's check in with what's going out on the show floor.
It is day 4 of Gamescom 2023, and we have tons of exciting stuff lined up for you. Some of the bigger games to note include Lies of P. I'm very excited for you to see what we have lined up. Lies of P is coming to everything, basically, but it's also coming day 1 on Game Pass, so don't forget to check it out there like I will be if you have an Xbox and a Game Pass membership. Now, Black Myth Wukong was also here on the show floor. The lines are absolutely crazy, but we got hands-on time with Black Myth Wukong. Myself and Matt Purslow got to play it, and we love it. I can't wait for you to see what we have to show you here from the show floor, from our hands-on time. And last but not least, I had to go all the way to the other side of the building to play Path of Exile 2. When I saw it was here, I knew I had to try it out, and it was awesome. So more on that coming in the moments to come on day 4 here at Gamescom. For more on all things gaming, just stay right here. You're already in the right place. We got you.
Oh man, now I want to go explore. Stella, want to go walk around and show off our matchies?
Oh my god, yeah, actually, we got the cat shirts, so absolutely, let's go show these off. And while we're out there, why don't you check out Where Winds Meet, which looks like it'll involve plenty of exploring too. That's coming up next, right here on Gamescom Studio.
We really need to plan this wardrobe better.
Welcome back to Gamescom Studio, powered by IGN. Now, Where Winds Meet is the massive new open-world, sword-fighting, ass-kicking martial arts game from Everstone Studio, and it looks absolutely awesome. Here to break it all down for me is Chris McDavitt, lead designer on Where Winds Meet. Hi.
Hello.
So every time I see this game, it seems like there's more and more to do. It's almost overwhelming in a really good way. What kind of experience are you making with Where Winds Meet? What is the overall goal here?
就是咱们的这个游戏，每一次就是我看到的时候，都会有一些新的变化，有一些新的内容加进去。那我们希望这个游戏能达成什么样的一个目标，能够给玩家提供什么样的一种体验呢？
我们的游戏其实是一个开放世界，基于中国武侠背景的开放世界 RPG 的游戏。那么我们游戏的整个的背景是在唐朝末期，就是古代中国的唐朝末期。宋初之间的这段时间，那么这是一个非常混乱无序的时代，那么玩家将会扮演一个少年的侠客，去闯入这个世界，去探索这个世界，在这个世界里面，学到不同的技能，逐渐的成长，同时去发现自己的身世，发现这个世界的真相，那么
Yeah. So we are basically an open world RPG game based on Chinese ancient history. So the story begins after the Chinese Tang Dynasty and before the Song Dynasty. So this is basically one of the most chaotic and dark period of time in Chinese history. The player will be playing a young swordsman in the game who will be exploring the world, develop his technique, his martial arts skill, grow his know more about his mysterious or hidden identity in this world.
The world is gigantic. It's absolutely massive. Can you tell us a little about the general sort of world design here? I mean, we're seeing flying, we're seeing running around and stuff like that. What was the scope with building this world?
就是咱们的世界其实看上去非常的大，因为是一个开放世界嘛。那咱们就是建设这个开放世界的时候，其实花费了多少的时间精力这样子呢？
我们其实已经研发了有3年半的时间，然后确实开放世界是一个非常大的挑战，因为需要大家一起去做很多样事情。玩家可以在游戏里面除了战斗，除了使用一些中国传统的武术，使用中国传统的武器之外，还可以去做很多不同的玩法比如说探索，比如说采集，比如说参与到中国传统的中医药去学习中医药相关的技能他们可以抓马可以去撸猫撸狗可以钓鱼，然后可以在世界里建造，所以确实有很多的内容。
We've been working on this for over 3.5 years. It is a huge challenge to do an open world game, and for example, we're developing our combat system with martial arts and Chinese traditional weapons, and we are also offering lots of models for players to explore the world and enjoy the game. For example, a Chinese traditional medicine system. In which you get to collect herbs and develop your own medicine and cure disease or cure injuries. Or you can go fishing in the game. We have a pet system. You get to pet your dogs or cats in the game. We have a construction system. You can build bridges, towers, all sorts of different buildings in the game. So basically, you can do it all.
So you've been very busy then. Yeah. We're seeing some mounts right now, horses. You talked about fishing. One of my favorite things that we saw so far are some of the other animals. There's a bear that screams at you and you catch it in a jar and throw it back at him. There's geese that you chase around. There's like some animal comedy in this game. Tell me about how that came together.
Okay. 就是咱们会在游戏里面看到，就是像是坐骑啊这种东西，然后包括他会看到有一只熊，然后咱们跟它战斗，然后用太极把它扔得很远，然后包括咱们会看到鹅，然后就是跟鹅到处乱跑，然后这种跟动物相关的这种就是有趣的这种体验，咱们在一开始设计的时候是怎么样的一个想法呢？
这里其实有2个核心的想法，第一个想法就是我们想在游戏里还原一个非常自然的生态，基于我们中国古代的这样的一个背景，这是第一个想法。
So basically we have 2 ideas, 2 inspirations here. So the first one would be that we want to sort of bring back the ancient China environment to our audience, to our players, and try to ask them to enjoy the game while sharing this kind of interesting experience and environment, natural environment with them, in which the animals would be a huge part in it.
对，然后第2个想法是，我们希望把这部分自然生态的内容跟中国的传统武术结合起来。比如说刚刚举到那个例子，用太极扔熊，太极就是中国的一个非常有趣的martial art，它可以把一个速度特别快的一个动物用某种方式扔出去、甩出去，甚至用这个东西去攻击其他的敌人我们觉得这是一个非常有趣的东西，也没有在其他游戏里见过，所以我们就把它做到游戏里了。
So the second thing is we're trying to combine the animal aspect with our martial arts. So for example, what you can see in the game, the Tai Chi, is actually a very classical Chinese martial arts skill in which you can sort of lift the heavy things with just a little power using your skill. And also we're trying to also combine a lot of the mimicking animals into our martial arts skills. For example, you can mimic a lion roar. We have that sort of skill, or like a snake, mimic a snake as a martial art.
All right. One last thing I wanted to ask you about is the combat styles. Now, we saw you can, kind of borrow ideas from animals in the world. You can bother a bear while it's sleeping, which was very rude. But what sort of like combat do you learn over time, like in terms of weapons and interacting with enemies and stuff like that?
就是他是想问一下咱们就是因为也能看到咱们游戏里其实提供了很多像是武器或者是那个就是武术的这种方式，然后他是想问咱们在这个过程之中能学到怎么样的一些武术的一些技巧，在那个战斗上面能够学到一些怎么样的一些技巧，就咱们的战斗系统基本上是怎么工作的？
对我简单介绍我们的战斗系统，其实有3个主要的 feature， 主要的 point。第一个就是因为中国武术里面有各种各样不同的武器，传统武器，我们希望把这些传统武器在游戏里还原出来，让玩家能够感受到中国传统武器的不同的特点和差异然后这是第一点。
So basically there are 3 ideas here. So the first one would be the weapon system. So we have a gigantic weapon system in which we want to sort of bring back to life what's in the traditional Chinese weapon, and we want to try our best to deliver its differences and its features and like the variety of them to our players.
对，第二点是我们希望能够把中国传统的武术去还原到游戏里比如刚刚其实已经提到的一些基于仿生学、基于我们叫形意的这样的一些东西，有点像大家可能在之前的一些影视作品里看到 Jackie Chan 他的那些武术像刚刚说的狮吼功之类的武术还原到游戏里。
And the second thing we want to put in the combat system is our Chinese traditional martial arts. And we offer lots of options in terms of martial arts skills. For example, the ones that I mentioned earlier, like the animal stance. So this one you can basically see in a lot of Jackie Chan movie, and I think Western audience will be very familiar with those.
对，第三点是我们希望能够让玩家在这么多的中国传统的武术里选择自己喜欢的，然后搭配自己的 build 在不同的环境下可以用不同的这样的一些传统的技艺去战胜敌人。
So the third thing is that we'd like to offer players the choice of different weapons and different martial arts, the combination of those two, and to allow them to utilize those skills and weapons, the combination of the skills and weapons to resolve puzzles or to deal with different environments.
Cool. Well, Where Winds Meet looks fantastic. Thank you so much for coming today. We will have lots more coverage of this gorgeous, really fun, insane game as we continue on IGN, so keep it locked. We've got lots more Gamescom Studio ahead right here, so don't go anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, Seth Macy at the Xbox booth. We are right outside Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. I am with Destin Legary. Destin, you played Stalker 2.
I sure did. It was the first game I went to, and they just let me in to play it. I was very surprised. I will say this. The gameplay still seems a little bit early. Like, they definitely have a lot of polish to do.
Okay.
And if you're new to the Stalker franchise, just a heads up, this game is difficult. There's inventory management in the style of a game like Escape from Tarkov, if you're familiar with it. And the AI... I saw some YouTubers out there saying that the AI seems a little easy.
Okay.
It was not easy. They'll flank you, they'll rush you, and I really, really enjoyed the experience, but I had to reset my expectations about what Stalker is. So if you're a Stalker fan that has been playing the game since the beginning, you're going to get exactly what you wanted.
Okay.
Yeah.
What surprised you during your time here with Stalker 2?
Well, I don't know if it's a surprise. One thing I really enjoyed was it opens you up, it gives you the bolt, and you can throw it at anomalies, and yes, you can still jump through them. As a matter of fact, it seems like they're leaning into that mechanic. So you throw your bolt out, have the anomaly discharge, and then you rush through it to get past that hurdle, so to speak. a very interesting mechanic that's utilized early on, and then they just kind of send you out into the open world. You fight some mutant dogs, and you're constantly worried about ammo management because one reload could mean life or death for your character.
So it's a tense experience.
It definitely is. It's definitely not an easy game. You're going to need to be mindful of your inventory, how many bullets you have in your particular weapon, and how you're utilizing the gear that you have. Constantly loot everybody, make sure that you're getting the best gear that you have, dispose of the old stuff. As far as I can tell, no, you cannot pick up a body and use it as a carrying bag, so
That's
to
a big
speak.
miss.
Yeah, not really. But I'm actually more excited about Stalker 2 than I was before.
Oh yeah?
Because
Okay, cool.
I really like those type of experiences where it's almost a sim, right? There's stamina that you have to manage, there's health that you have to manage. There's seems to be a sleep indicator where you're going to have to rest at certain parts of the game, and I just cannot wait to see more.
Nice.
One last thing. So near the end of the demo, what we saw was the cloud, the sky went red, and it was very crazy, like some crazy sort of storm. And I wasn't quite sure what was happening, so I just went into cover, and then my demo time expired. But all of that stuff that I experienced, it's just like the first few minutes of the game. So attacked by a big pack of wild dogs, these people that want to murder me just
try
swarming me, and they were doing quite well. To be fair, I did throw a grenade at them as soon as I realized they were an opponent.
Nice.
And there was a lot more to consider in combat than a game like Call of Duty would throw at you. This is
Sure.
not Call of Duty. Think more Escape from Tarkov, or if you're a Stalker fan who's flaming me in the comments, it's probably exactly what you want. It seems like more Stalker to me.
All right, cool.
So I think people are going to like it when they play it.
How does the gunplay feel?
It feels good.
Yeah.
Like guns work as expected. They can actually malfunction, it would seem. We've seen that in some of the trailers where it seems like some of the guns can have issues that you'll have to deal with. So there are a lot of different aspects to Stalker 2 that I think will be overwhelming for new fans, but if you embrace them and try and learn them, I think you're gonna have a great time.
All right. Anything else we need to know about Stalker 2?
You need to play it.
Okay.
Definitely. I have the original games installed on my PC. Now I need to make time and go play video games.
Should I play them as someone who maybe isn't that great at managing his own life?
Yes. All the more reason.
Sweet. Well, that's Stalker 2 Destined. Sound like you had a great time. Thanks so much for talking to us about it. We are at the Xbox booth at Gamescom. This is day one. For more Gamescom, don't even think about leaving IGN.
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on the Cinefix Top 100, Mondays starting July 3rd.
Why so serious?
Hey, you! Yes, you! Do you have fun? Fear of missing Gamescom? Relax. Gamescom is everywhere you want. Gamescom now. Register now.
Tune into IGN 1 on your smart TVs for the latest news on your favorite releases, gameplay exclusives, and all the entertainment you can handle.
Cinefix on IGN 1, your friendly Friday night home for film fanaticism.
You're watching The Weekly Fix, ready to fill you in on anything you may have missed in the world of gaming and entertainment.
Welcome to Should I Play This? This is what to watch here on IGN 1.
Find it all in one place for free on IGN 1.
They turned into a network. Who knew?
Path of Exile 2 is here at Gamescom, and the big focus for the team seems to be showing off the Druid. Joining us today is game director Jonathan Rogers, and Chris, you're here too.
Surprise.
Surprise! It's really, really good to see you. Look, Path of Exile 2 seems to be getting a lot of new player interest, myself included. You know, I've been playing a lot of Diablo 4, and then Path is just doing a lot of interesting things that have really piqued my interest. Why do you think new players are so intrigued by what you're showing?
I really think it's just the pure action focus that we have in PoE 2 now. I mean, with PoE 1, often the complaint was that the game just didn't play like an action game well enough, and that's just something I really wanted to like put in the ground for PoE 2. You know, we definitely want to make sure that, you know, you can go in there, you're rolling around, and, you know, like playing it like an action game. That's just something we want to make sure that, you know, we actually have good sort of action game credentials there.
Yeah, Chris, one of the mechanics that were demoed during ExileCon was the roll, no cooldown, and that mechanic just flows so well into the combat. Why did you say we have to have this in the game?
Well, Jonathan's team has been working really hard on getting the action to feel just right. And one of the things they quickly identified is if you have the ability to get in and out of combat quickly, then it means you can have much more interesting mechanics because you can have skills that close the distance, you can dodge roll out when a hit is coming. It just makes the action feel a lot better.
And I mean, the cancel that you have there is just super important. Like, we effectively couldn't have skills that took a long time in PoE 1 because you were locked in, you couldn't do anything about it. When you can have a dodge cancel, it just means that you know, you can actually have the longer skills, you can actually have that stuff because you know you can always just get out of there if you need to. So yeah, it allows you to get those longer attacks.
The Druid gameplay has been a big focus here at Gamescom. What can you tell us about your design philosophy with this character and how you're trying to set it apart from anything you've done before?
So the main thing that we want to achieve with the Druid is have a hybrid melee and spellcaster build. And this is actually something that was really hard to do in PoE 1 just because of the fact that you couldn't really allocate, well, to get a bit technical here, you know, we're a bit of a technical game. You couldn't allocate, if you put all your points in spellcasting, then you'd be more powerful as a spellcaster. You put all your points in melee stuff, you'd be a more powerful melee character. And becoming a hybrid was always just worse for you with regard to balance. So by making the systems as we have in PoE 2, it finally means that this kind of class where you actually do have a hybrid like that becomes actually possible. And then the Druid is obviously a really great realization of that, you know, and plus people just love being a bear. So that's a good one.
It is pretty cool. You also showed off the Warrior and Huntress. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about those two classes?
Yeah, so with the Warrior, we're going for just like pure, like, you know, melee slams, you know, like hard hitting, this kind of stuff. But I think a really key one for that we discovered was the importance of being able to move as you do attacks. Like, you really want that feeling of being a freight train when you're kind of doing things, you know, like, so you're moving forward all the time. We've got skills like rolling slam where your character's just like rolling forwards doing slams as they go, this kind of thing. So that's kind of what that character is about exploring. And then something like the Huntress, this is really another kind of hybrid thing that we're trying to do there, is like explore the idea of like a character that can be both melee and range and what it would mean to connect those two things together. So we've got things like the Whirling Slash, which is a melee skill, but it requires you to get out of it before it explodes, which means that you need to find some way out of combat, out of melee range. And then we've also got skills to be doing that. So you've got, you know, skills to that are at melee, you've got skills that are at range, and then you've got skills to connect the two. We're kind of flying in and out, and basically trying to find ways to sort of get that synergy between all of those elements in order to make something that's really fun. And it just feels like you're darting in and out of combat all the time.
One of the things fans really wanted me to ask about was respecking. So have you talked about that at all? How is that going to work in PoE 2?
So it's one of those things where we're kind of a believer in, like, if you have too much free respecking, you kind of lose the feeling of what your character is very quickly. Like, it's very easy to feel like my character is just the same as every other character if you can free respec it all the time. So we have respecking in Path of Exile 2, but it's something that you don't just get to respec your whole character easily. You find items that allow you to respec them. But on the other hand, for that's for passive skills. But for active skills, we just allow free changing between different skills all the time, because the active skills are just items. You can remove them and add them to your character as much as you like. And so we feel for the active skills, it's really important that you have the ability to experiment, like play around with things. But for the passives, we actually think, like, if you're saying that my character is like a hybrid fire ice build, then you should continue down that path unless you're willing to pay the cost to kind of change that decision. So yeah, we do have different philosophies about those two areas.
Yeah. Path 1, a lot of people have spent a lot of money in that game, right? You brought up that Path 2 is a separate game because you just started growing and growing from where you began. So how is that going to work? How is the monetization from Path 1 going to just easily convert over? And how did you land on that determination?
So essentially, accounts are shared between the two games, and that means any purchases you've made in either game are available in both. So for example, all the stash tabs, all the skins, and other cosmetic stuff that you've bought in Path of Exile 1 is immediately available to you in Path of Exile 2. And when you're playing Path of Exile 2, if you were to buy a supporter pack and get some cool stuff, you can go back and play Path of Exile 1. And honestly, it's just a no-brainer from being consumer first. You know, from our point of view, that's how we would want the game to work when we're playing it, so we made sure it works that way.
Got it. How big is the team working on Path 2, and how are creative decisions landed on from a design perspective?
So the team's about, if you're talking about just like pure developers, you know, like artists and programmers and things like that, then it's about 100 people. The whole studio is about 180. So you know, we're getting a little larger over time. But I mean, ultimately, it comes down to you know, like we try to have a very open culture where anyone can suggest anything. But at the same time, you need to have some kind of vision and some kind of direction. So Mark, who is the other game director, and myself, we basically together, often a lot of it comes down to hashing out that stuff, but we try to take on as much as possible. One thing I don't want to do is just have like, you know, large meetings, because I find that stuff to be quite unproductive, really. Like I find like the perfect number of people in a meeting is 3. So then when you get beyond that, it starts to turn into this kind of cloud of like no one's really getting anything done. So yeah, I'm a fan of the smaller meeting myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, we found that to be pretty effective, and hopefully people at our studio feel like their ideas get heard still, and we can you know, we can do some interesting stuff.
Chris, do you feel like your ideas are being heard?
Yeah, I have a special like access to Jonathan, so I can make sure. I walk into his office. What are you doing? No,
Having played the game a little bit, I'm reminded of, you know, some of the stuff I wish Diablo 4 did. One of the things the team commented on was Diablo 4 in their Season 1 patch, and how it was pretty rocky for that team, right? What have you learned during your years working on Path of Exile that you are taking into development of Path of Exile 2?
We have extensive experience doing live operations of action RPGs now, more than a decade in outright release, plus a lot of beta period, dozens and dozens, I think like 46 or so expansions to Path of Exile. We've posted the bad patch notes with the angry response many times. We understand where to nerf things when you need to, when not to, when to keep things punchy for players, and it's just some experience where immediately, like the operations team running Path of Exile 2 is literally the same people doing Path of Exile 1, so we'll be able to carry that forward.
But you know, it's kind of one of those things where, yeah, sometimes hard decisions have to be made, right? And I don't envy it. I do not envy any company when you have to face the wrath of the community like that. It's no fun. But you know, sometimes you just have to. Sometimes you have to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we get really invested in our characters and really salty when they get nerfed. So, yeah.
I mean, ideally, we'll be able to get things perfectly right the first time, so we never have to change anything. But
I'm sure it'll go flawless and no issues at all.
Absolutely.
One of the questions. So Brian plays a ton of Path 1, and he wanted me to ask, will mapping as an endgame system return in PoE 2?
Absolutely. Mapping is absolutely in the DNA of Path of Exile. We would not want to change that. But what we are changing is the framing around it. So we're not announcing what the endgame is yet, but effectively, you can certainly expect maps to be there. And there'll be, you know, the storyline and sort of how that all unfolds will be new for PoE 2, and we'll be announcing that probably early next year, I'd say.
Awesome. I am so excited about Path of Exile 2. I need my fix when I'm not playing Diablo, you know, and both games are excellent, so I'm really looking forward to trying out what you've created. Thank you so much. Path of Exile 2 looks fantastic, so keep it locked to IGN for lots of coverage of it as we get closer to launch. We've got lots more Gamescom Studio ahead, so don't go anywhere.
Gates from Gamescom. I am Seth Macy. I am joined by His Majesty's Treasure straight from the United Kingdom, Matt Purslow. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good, thank you, Seth. How are you?
I'm wonderful. You just saw Lies of P. Everybody wants to know, how Bloodborne-y is Lies of P?
I mean, so it's set in this beautiful city called Krat, and it is very Bloodborne in its aesthetic. Lots of all of those very ornate sort of buildings, beautiful statues, and a lot of that Victorian horror vibe going on.
All right,
which is good. The enemies, so we've seen new enemies this week at Gamescom.
Like what?
Which is very cool. So obviously puppets are the big deal because it's based on Pinocchio, but these ones were very almost like marionettes, like they've got golden strings that come like out of the sky, these magical strings. But then this giant half-woman marionette, half-spider freak.
Oh, cool, I hate that.
Just came charging down a corridor at me. Very luckily, I've got shit tons of weapons in my inventory to use against them. And that's, I think, where it's standing out from Bloodborne in that vibe. Bloodborne has a very specific set of weapons, like probably the smallest range in the Souls sort of games. They gave me so many weapons in my inventory to try out. Obviously, you wanted to know what sort of style I was into. I'm very much into kind of like the dex builds, a lot faster.
Yeah.
But it's the heavy weapons that really stood out to me.
Okay.
Massive kind of circular saw on a big pole, a huge wrench, a kind of a massive fire axe that sets things on fire.
Oh, man.
I had a sort of lance that got acid in the tip of it.
Hell yeah.
There was so much, like, there's so much kind of like environmental effects, so like setting things on fire, burning them with acid, all of those kind of effects that give it just that little bit of extra RPG.
Yeah, okay, cool. Did you get a chance to take on any bosses?
Yeah, so it was the King of Puppets boss. Not the Master of Puppets.
Ah,
not the Master.
He's pulling your strings.
Of course. But yeah, the thing that I found like really interesting about this is there's almost like a sense of humor to this game that I really like. So when you meet this this King of Puppets, he's asking you to dance. Like he stretches out his arm, and so you kind of bat him aside, and then he kind of does like this very faux kind of crying sort of element, and then proceeds to beat the absolute living crap out of you. Yeah, he's this massive robot, kind of like with a crown on, obviously.
Yep.
Does an awful lot of bouncing around. He's got extendable arms that spin around the arena.
Oh, cool.
Just absolutely knocking all like the tables over. It's in like this theater arrangement. But then when you batter him, you obviously get the fact it's a two-stage boss, as so many of these Souls-like games are. And then this guy called Romeo gets out of it, and he is so fast.
Yeah.
Like, so one of the stronger sort of fast-based boss fights that I've been against. Some really cool designs where he'll run around you and set fires in rings and then leap up. And then you've obviously got to do perfect parries to get out of that. Like, really impressive stuff.
It just felt real good, real fluid.
Yeah, really fluid. Kind of like a big sort of question that came out of the last demo was if the dodge was going to be any good. Like the dodge didn't feel
dodge
great.
is critical.
Yeah,
how was it?
Absolutely. Yeah, genuinely, I think it's a little bit better. I'm not sure it's kind of like Bloodborne levels yet, but I'm definitely feeling a little bit more smoothness in that combat. And the fact that you can block as well, like whereas Bloodborne was more of a kind of like dodge and
get out of the way
deal. It's kind of coming together. It's a good combat system, I think. Yeah.
You talked a little bit about the weapons. Tell me about the arm.
Oh yeah, so this guy has so your Pinocchio character's got this mechanical arm that you can switch out with lots of different versions. Because the enemies in this area were weak against acid, I had this thing that literally is, you know, like the stuff that they pump the venom into Bane in Arkham Asylum?
Yeah.
It's like that all the way down your arm, and you can spray out acid in either like a horizontal or a vertical path.
Nice.
Very, very cool, and obviously when they step through it, they start taking acid damage. Yeah. And that's very cool, but I could also swap that out with a rocket launcher. Because who doesn't want a rocket launcher against a boss fight?
That classic Pinocchio weapon, the rocket launcher.
Absolutely, yeah. There are other ones that we've seen in other demos, like there's the puppet string, which is much more in line with the Pinocchio thing. But the rocket launcher and the acid spray are definitely my picks for this area.
Oh, hell yeah. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you feel like you need to discuss?
I think just the vibes, man. Like
good vibes.
Good vibes and real good fashion. Some of the best coats that I've seen since Assassin's Creed Unity. Really beautiful long coats with that velvety touch.
Oh,
very good stuff.
I love a good velvety touch. That's awesome. So that was Liza P. You checked it out.
Yeah.
Good times. All right, cool. We are here on the floor of Gamescom. We're here for the rest of the week. So for all of this and so much more, make sure to keep it right here on IGN.
2020's Ghostrunner was a hardcore, lightning-fast first-person slasher that took the world by storm, and now it's getting a gigantic new sequel that adds a ton of crazy new stuff. Here to tell me all about it are Simon Brilla and Radoslav Ratushnik. Hey, hello! I think I got your names right.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. You did it
Amazing.
perfect. Thank you. Yeah.
Speed ran that.
Yes.
All right, so I did get a little bit of hands-on time before we did this interview, which thank you so much for that. So I really want to talk about the motorbike.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yes. So what was the inspiration behind deciding to add a motorbike to the game?
Oh. You will maybe start.
Yeah, I may start. So, you know, our game is pretty fast, so we want to make it even more faster. And that's why we figure out that let's add the motorbike. We also think that it also fits the theme of the cyberpunk, right? There are a lot of references, and you may be familiar with the motorbike from other cyberpunk-ish pop culture stuff. So yeah, so the motorbike, it is super cool to to have it like the speed that you are achieving there is amazing, but at the same time, it really is fitting to the whole idea behind the design of Ghostrunner, that you have to avoid obstacles, you have to learn what is in front of you, like when you are dealing with the enemies on the normal gameplay. I think it's also very rewarding, because you feel super awesome when you can reach this amazing speed sense.
Yeah, and from the start, our idea was like, okay, we don't want to create a simulator or something similar. It was from the start pure arcade-ish experience that we would like to achieve, and I feel and I see that we'll achieve it. And can't wait to see you all playing and having fun in this.
Yeah.
I already see your reactions, so wow.
Yeah,
Thank you. Really great.
I was very bad at this game, but it's been a minute since I played it, so it's okay. I told him to just count my death marker from that, so I hope you didn't post that.
Just the last arena.
Okay. So it's been a year since the events of Ghostrunner. So what has changed from, obviously a lot has changed, but I want you to break down what has changed for the sequel.
Well, I mean, we wanted to maintain this feeling of being a cyber ninja as it was in the first game. So you are still Jack. Jack survived, and you are this powerful character who can slice through all the enemies in the arena with only his sword, so we are bringing knife to a gunfight. But of course there is more. We wanted to give more accessibility options for the players, so right now you are able to block, you have more abilities to use, but still you can play the game the same way you played the first one. So we are open for the newcomers who could also enjoy the game.
Yeah, there's always a quote that we are saying about the Ghostrunner 2, that Ghostrunner 2 is not a revolution, it's a pure evolution of this brand. And we stick it to it very, very much, and we love it. We listen a lot of community feedback, we read purely every important review, and based on that, but also based on our, ideas, like, the outside and motorcycle, we decide, okay, we will go with this path, and we are completely confident that this is the right way for evolution for the Ghostrunner 2. So it will be cool.
Yeah, I really like the way that you put that. So you brought up a great mechanic that I truly enjoyed, because I love Souls-like games. I love that even though this game is more approachable, it still rewards you for precision,
yes.
And you still have to be very good and get the timings down right. So tell me more about the block and parry system, which I got to try that out and I loved it.
Yeah, it's super satisfying, because when you perform a perfect block, you are performing an execution, a very juicy execution on your enemies, and that's also it also fits well with that fast-paced gameplay. But if you want to slow down a little bit, check what is around the corner, you're now able to do so, because you can block for as much as your stamina allows you to. But it works perfectly, and if you want to play a little bit slower, you are now allowed to do so.
Yeah, in terms of the story, because it's also an important fact, this time we put a lot of effort to make the story deeper. It was also based on the fact that people ask completely and constantly asking, okay, what is the universe of Ghostrunner? What is the characteristics? So we prepared a game hub in which you will find more answers about this cool universe. You will know more about the characters, about their motivations, about your reception of your actions, and so many things. But if you would like to focus only on the gameplay, you allow it.
You can always go to the guy who is giving you a brief for the next mission.
You can skip, and you can go.
I'll never skip. What do you mean?
But we did.
Yes. No, that's amazing. I'm really glad for that, because I love lore digging in any sort of game. So touching on the story, at the end of Ghostrunner, Jack did escape, right? And he did kill the big bad. So what exactly is the big challenge that Jack is going to be facing in this?
So in the second game, there is a new threat for Dharma Tower. The AI cult is rising outside and inside the tower, and your goal is, of course, to deal with it, to deal with the threat. You are giving aid to the former rebels, and now they are calling themselves climbers. It's the faction that is ruling the tower right now. They have a trouble with some gangs, and of course, everyone wants to be in charge of the tower. And the new threat is pretty big, to be honest. If you saw the pre-order trailer, there are some bosses that we are teasing there, and there will be a challenge for the Ghostrunner.
Yeah. Of course, during the story, you know, the Jack is also evolving. He's changing. When you compare him to the first part, to the second one, you will see that he's changed a lot in terms of the, you know, friendship and so on. He is a way different. For me personally, Jack is similar to Mando from the Mandalorian, obviously, and he's a shy guy, very calm, and then he changing.
When he speaks, he means it.
He's very precision also in speaking, not only in killing.
Yeah, I love that we get to see more personality from him and the other supporting characters.
Yes.
The humor between the banter is just really fun. I really liked that. It makes me feel like the characters are people that I could actually be friends with, right? Like, not everyone's going to get along, which is very nice.
Yes.
So, in speaking with the story, there are going to be branching dialogues. So, what does this mean for Jack and whoever he might interact with?
Yeah, basically he can interact with all NPCs that you may meet in the hub. However, you know, you may talk with them and know more about, you know, their life, their motivations, the situation that's going to happen and are happening in the tower. And I think it is a really fun part because it's giving you a huge background behind every person that you met in your hub. So this is the goal.
So they are not only talking heads, but they are really the people that you can have an interaction with them and learn more about the world and about each of these NPCs.
Yes.
Yeah, so does that mean that there will be multiple endings, or is there only one ending?
Well, we don't want to spoil the ending, but
you need to find out.
There is an ending.
Yeah. You need to find out. You need to play, and you need to find out.
We think that it's quite satisfying.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. You
Like
have me
a
very
cinematic.
curious. I was already going to play, but now I want to play and learn everything about the story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so one last question. Is there going to be, would you ever consider releasing sort of a map maker for the community to make different parkour obstacle courses for other players to enjoy?
Well, that's the great idea, and we know that there are many people who would like to mod the game, and yeah, we would love to think about it, to consider it. That's what we can say for now, but of course we will be supporting the game after the release for the full year.
Yeah, and now we are totally focused on bringing in on the date and keeping the quality and fun playing with it. So that is our goal right now.
And when is the game going to be out?
26th of October.
This year.
This year, of course.
On PC, Xbox, PS5,
Xbox Series.
Xbox Series, yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to play
you.
this. I got a tiny taste and I can't wait to play it already.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, well, you heard it here. Ghostrunner 2 hits PC and consoles on October 26th, and I'm going to get on that motorcycle again. We've got lots more ahead right here on Gamescom Studio, so stick around.
You're watching Gamescom Studio, powered by IGN. Ever wanted to build a complex and thriving medieval kingdom and then defend it from your friends who keep trying to tear it down? Well, good news, we have just the game for you. Thrive, Heavy Lies the Crown is heading into early access in 2024, and we've got a look at it right now. Check it out.
No one plans for ruin. I did not ask for this ever-thickening fog, for the illness and decay that it brings. It was no threat at first, just a light haze over fresh morning dew, bringing greater sheen to ripe berries and a bountiful fullness to grazing beasts. How subtly that sheen dulls and the bounty dries up, as it begins to creep in, to seep in, and whispers turn to whimpers. Food spoiled, livestock dead, water poisoned. Some call it a cleansing. Most call it the Walgrim. I call it my destiny. My rule seemed bound to failure. But for failure, I'd never planned. But you, what destiny awaits the one who walks amongst the Walgrim without fear? It has always been you. So here, take this gift, the mantle it bestows. Pray that you might bear its weight a little better than I. But never forget, no one plans for ruin. When the Walgrim calls, How will you answer?
Tune into IGN 1 on your smart TVs for the latest news on your favorite releases, gameplay exclusives, and all the entertainment you can handle.
Cinefix on IGN 1, your friendly Friday night home for film fanaticism.
You're watching The Weekly Fix, ready to fill you in on anything you may have missed in the world of gaming and entertainment.
Welcome to Should I Play This? This is what to watch here on IGN 1.
Find it all in one place for free on IGN 1.
They turned into a network. Who knew?
Be there. Be strong. Be fierce. Be better. Be different. Be winning. Be epic. Be you at Gamescom 23. Come and be everything at Gamescom 2023.
Hey there everybody, Destin Liguria at Gamescom, and I got a little bit of hands-on time with Tekken 8. Now granted, I am a novice player at this game, but I have to say it's really inviting to newcomers who aren't playing against some of the best people in the FGC community. And that has me really hopeful for the full release of the game, because there are some interesting systems here. Now, I didn't get a ton of time, like I said, but the heat system is really interesting. I know you can activate and you can either dash in for more damage or utilize the smash ability to really pummel your opponent. There's a chip implemented in Tekken 8, and the only way to regain your health is to do damage on your opponent. Otherwise, your life bar will get taken away on hit. But I like that sort of back and forth that you have with your opponent in this version of the game, and I like that addition to Tekken 8. Now, as a sucker for super moves, I would be remiss not to talk about rage arts. As a novice again, basically what would happen was I would get beat up a whole bunch,
and as soon as I got a chance, I would hit R2 and be able to pummel the enemy. Now, I know high-level players will utilize that in a more technical way, but for me, as a newer player, I have to admit, it does feel really good to have a chance to come back against somebody who's a little bit higher skill level than you are. Now, the fighting game community is really, really excited about the new heat system, how rage arts are being utilized, how the chip system is being utilized, and all of those mechanics are really interesting to a core fighting game player. Also, some of the characters have just been hitting all the right notes for players. I got to see Jack, I got to play a few of the fan favorites that are making a return. Unfortunately, the big reveal at Gamescom was the single player mode where you can unlock cool cosmetics and such for your character by entering into fights or entering tournaments with your friends, or at least those are some of the modes that you can explore. And I would have really liked to see how that was all going to play out, but this was all just two players sitting down and beating each other up. So I'm really excited to get more hands-on time doing exactly that with my friends at home. I had about 5-10 minutes to play the game because there was a really long demonstration at the Bandai Namco booth that I had to watch first. So I can't tell you a whole bunch more, but Mitchell and Ronnie at IGN, they are our Tekken 8 experts, and they will be covering this game much more in depth for you. So stay tuned for more. Thank you so much for watching. For more on all things gaming, keep it right here at IGN.
After a 10-year gap, we're finally getting Payday 3 September 21st this year, and we get to live out all of our heisting fantasies. I have here Almir Listo, Global Brand Director and Head of Community, and Andres Hell-Penninger, Lead Producer from Starbreeze, to answer all of our questions about Payday 3. Hello.
Hi.
I want to dive into this. So why did you decide to launch the Unreal 5 after launch of the game?
I can take that. So when we started the development of Payday 3, we just had Unreal 4. Unreal 5 wasn't available. And as Unreal 5 became available, we did look into it and evaluated it, but we just saw that moving and transitioning during development, it would put some risk to the core experience of the project, and the most important thing for us right now is to make sure that the game is fun and it plays well. So the transition post-launch just makes sense for us from a development point of view.
Okay. Oh, and I think this is new footage of the new heist that is available later. Yes. Can you tell us a little bit more about this particular one? Because I think I only got to play the bank and the art museum.
Yeah. So, like you said, in the beta we had a bank, which is it's sort of like a vanilla Payday level, right? It has a very classic bank robbery feel to it. It's very close to the core fantasy. This one is a little bit different. Most noticeable, it has a very different setting, right? It's also a little bit more stealth-oriented, and it has a very interesting feature where when you steal the loot that you're after, it degrades over time. So you need to be very quick and very coordinated with your team to get it back to its container before it loses its value.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And it also features a new contractor.
Yeah.
So for this heist, we're working together with Ice-T, who portrays the character of Mac.
What?
So apparently, we didn't know this before, but Ice-T's been a fan of Payday since 7-8 years past. Yeah, Payday 2. So when we reached out to him, he was super excited to work with us. So he's a new contractor. This is his heist in New Jersey, because he's from New Jersey, so we had to do that for him. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just have to wait 6 years to get my contractor position in this.
That is correct. So we'll talk after.
Payday 4.
About it.
Oh, okay, great. Yes, Payday 4. There you go. Awesome. So I also want to ask, what was the biggest challenge in developing Payday 3 on the new engine as well? You did talk about the different technical challenges it presented.
I think, so Payday 1 and Payday 2 was developed in our in-house engine, Diesel, and Payday 3 is now in Unreal 4. And one of the biggest challenges that we faced very early on was making sure that we still capture that Payday feel, like the moment to moment, because it has a very particular feel, right? So we worked on that for a very long time, and made sure that we had a prototype that felt like Payday before we started fleshing out a lot more features.
Okay.
I also think something cool that we could prepare for properly for Payday 3 was that when we made Payday 2, we didn't know we were going to be working on it for 10 years. But making Payday 3, we've built a proper foundation so that we know that we can continuously update it over time. And with our partner Deep Silver, we can look forward, to at least 18 months of post-launch content.
Yeah, that's great, because a lot of people still do play Payday 2 to this day. So I think that'll be great that it'll be updated constantly as well with the new support. So I did want to ask, because we see a lot of games coming out at the $70 price point. What was the reasoning for the $39.99 release price?
I only have $40. That's it. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
No, but I think it's a fair price point for a fair amount of content, right? Payday the Heist, the first game had 6 heists on launch, Payday 2 had 12, and Payday 3 has 8 on launch, right? But over time, we're going to add more content, both free and paid, whether it's, characters, heists, weapons, gadgets, new outfits. Yeah, so over time, there'll be more to enjoy, but I think 40 is a great price point, because if it would be a $70 title, maybe that would be, 2 more years of development or whatever, but we feel this is a good price point for the amount of content you get, yeah.
Yeah, I like that answer about only having $40, because I'm like, it's getting expensive. This is an expensive hobby.
Yeah, it's an expensive hobby, for sure.
Yeah, so I do want to talk, since I did get some hands-on time with the preview, we have some mechanics that we weren't able to do before, like putting the mask on and being able to climb things to help with the stealth gameplay. So what were the biggest changes in Payday 3's mechanics from Payday 2?
What we did early on was really try to identify how can we get closer to what the heist fantasy is all about. So not necessarily looking at mechanics that are like, yes, this would be fun. That's obviously a very important part of it, but starting with how do we enhance that. So I think at least for me and many of the people in the studio, all the new mechanics around hostage management, now you can grab civilians and guards as human shields, you can trade them with the police and negotiate with them, you can trade them between assaults to get resources back, so there's a lot of things to play with there that really feeds into what bank robbery is all about.
For me, it was a lot about retaining the integrity of the game, like the world of Payday. I think with Payday 2, over time we went all over the place, trying different things, and so on. And for Payday 3, we wanted, even though the game is an evolution of the series, we still want to pull back the fantasy and make it more mature again, a bit more dark and gritty. So I think that's reflected, in the behavior of the world, how it looks, the atmosphere of it all, how New York feels, and so on. Yeah. But also our characters, that they look 5 years older. Because a matter of fact is, it's been 5 years since they retired in Payday 2. And that's also an important part of making a sequel, that it's the same world, it's the same storyline. We haven't gone and changed everything, right? It is your OG4 coming back into a world of crime for whatever reason that is going to unfold in Payday 3.
Yeah, can you actually go into a little bit of the story? Why did they come out of retirement, and what have they been up to?
I think we don't want to spoil too much.
Okay.
But what I can say is that what happened after the White House heist in Payday 2, when they stole their pardons, their presidential pardons, the gang retired, and there were more than 20 people in the Payday gang at the time. They were retired and went their different ways. And for whatever reason that we'll find out in Payday 3, they were forced back into a life of crime. And Mac, the new contractor that is portrayed by Ice-T, including others, are bringing them to New York to help them along.
It's also a greedy crew, They live for this. Yeah.
Well, like we said, video games are expensive, so I don't blame them, really.
Yeah, that is why they're back.
Right? Yeah, just for video games.
Yeah.
So you did mention earlier that there are going to be some expansions, some free, some not. So how many DLC do you have planned for this game so far?
We're looking at year 1 initially, right? Because that's what we have coming up. But of course, we're fantasizing about what's to come, and there is so much input. I really want to give a shout out to the community, because they've been with us through these past 10 years, always having great feedback on what to do, what not to do, and they'll definitely influence us, I think, as soon as they get to try their hands on the launch content, and as soon as they start feedbacking us, we'll be taking that in and adjusting course probably slightly.
Yeah, we want to work with them closely, and then also, even though we haven't said exactly what we're going to do for year 1, what I can say is that it's important to us that it's not just a content treadmill neither. Not only characters and weapons and cosmetics. We want to ensure that we grow the product and we take the experience where we want it to be, and we work together with the community on finding out what's that going to be long term. Yeah.
It's funny with Payday 2 as well. I remember when we were making collabs initially, because we made over 30 different collaborations for Payday 2 over 10 years, right? The fans were like, why did you do this? Why did you add this? Oh no! And now, with Payday 3, they're like, when am I gonna get my favorite collab back? So the tide has changed somewhat, but we still, want to retain the integrity, focus on the core gang initially, and then over time we'll try to see, what collab should we do, what shouldn't we do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think retaining the integrity has a lot to do with collaborating with your community. I mean, we have people that have, thousands of hours in the game. And Payday 2 has almost been... Almir and I have been at Starbreeze for almost 12 years now and working on Payday 2 for a long time. And Payday 2 for us has almost been like a test bed. We've been trying and experimenting a lot with different things. Some stuff that works, some that doesn't really.
Yeah.
So I think we've learned a lot from that and really learned that, working together with our fans on making sure where their expectations potentially aren't met,
Yeah, especially being really clear on when we screwed up, because we have, over 200 updates over 10 years, you're bound to screw up at some point, right? And I think being very honest and open about that and telling the community, we're sorry, we should have done this, we should have done that instead, and just listening to them and having that very truthful and straight relationship with them. I think that's done a lot over the years, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we waited 10 years for Payday 3, so I think they'll wait a little bit more for any new updates, and they'll be happy to get their hands on this year. So thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are so pumped to play Payday 3 when it comes out. I can't wait to jump back in and try all 8 heists. Payday 3 launches September 21st, so be sure to stay right here at IGN for all of your Payday updates.
What's up, everybody? I'm Seth Macy at the One Punch Man World booth here at Gamescom 2023. There are a ton of things to do here, including playing the game. So, yeah, let's just get started. First thing I need to do is I need to grab my guidebook. After that, I need to play the game demo. I need to get my photo taken. Then I need to punch the punch machine as hard as I can to get bragging rights, and then I can get this sweet mask, an awesome fan, and a sweet mouse pad. Let's go. All right, I'm gonna check out One Punch Man right here on PC, flex my keyboard and mouse skills. Let's do this. So are you excited about the game? You haven't played it yet, but you're here, so I kind of think I know the answer to this, but I want to hear it from you.
I am really excited to play this game.
Not only is One Punch Man World available on PC, but it's also on iPad and Android tablets, which is how I'm going to play it right now. What is your favorite One Punch Man character?
I would say King. King is my favorite one because he's so random. You think that he's like one of the top. Well, I'm not gonna do any spoilers. He's just very random. Let's just say that away.
Okay, now I'm at the photo booth. Get your photo taken, get your passport stamped, and you can get your prizes. Here we go. Hallo, sprechen Sie English?
Of course, I do.
I would like to get my passport, please.
So, this is your passport for this area, and all you have to do is, we have some activities to do. Maybe, for example, our photo wall, our punch machine, or trying out our new game. For each activity, you will get a stamp. You stamp your book, and the more stamps you will have, the more prizes you will get.
Like what prizes?
So if you have 1 stamp, you will get this funny mask. I really like it. And maybe if you have 2 stamps, you will have this little pin.
I like that little pin.
And my favorite one is this huge mouse pad.
What?
Yes, when you have 3 of the stamps, you will get it. And as an extra, we also have a fan. So if you follow us on any social platform, you will get it.
Because you're a fan.
Because you're a fan.
That's perfect. I'm gonna go get my 3 stamps. Is that okay?
Yes, of course, do it.
Well, Dankeschön.
See you. Bye.
All right, I got my passport. Let's see the One Punch Man world. 1 stamp, please. Boom! And of course, no One Punch Man World booth would be complete without a punching machine. I've been doing 100 push-ups a day. Let's see how strong my punch is right now.
you for joining me here at this booth presented by One Punch Man World. On that note, One Punch Man World is coming to PC, iOS, and Android, and pre-registration is open right now at One Punch Man World. I am Seth Basie. For everything else and everything One Punch Man World, keep it right here on IGN.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection to the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
Welcome to Super Debatable. When you got big takes on superheroes as hot as ours, well, you need a place to vent them.
And that's exactly what we'll be doing week after week on Super Debatable, arguing over the most divisive topics facing fans.
The MCU, that multiversal mess peaked years ago. It's all downhill from here.
James Gunn and Peter Safran should absolutely nuke the Snyderverse. We could argue about this all day.
And we will. Join us on Super Debatable Fridays on IGN. Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways, ad-free browsing, unlimited tracking on IGN Maps, discounts at the IGN store and with IGN partners, and best of all, free games. Get 30 days of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
Hey you, want to win some cool prizes?
Why do you sound like an officer stopping someone for it? Anyways, if you're watching at home or here in person, Gamescom Epics is the text adventure game of the show. It's a ton of fun and it's your chance to win some cool swag.
If you want to stay up to date with all Gamescom related news and announcements, make sure you're following the official social media accounts on your platform of choice, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, Twitch, or YouTube.
Now, let's take a look at what's going on later here, right here at Gamescom Studio. Up next, Max is checking out Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name.
After that, we're checking out the Plucky Squire, and we also caught up with Neil Blomkamp about his upcoming Battle Royale Off the Grid, and we've got more gameplay from Black Myth Wukong.
But right now, here's Like a Dragon.
This November, Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, will set the stage for next year's entry, Infinite Wealth. Here to tell us about it and show off the game in action, I'm joined by Like a Dragon series chief producer Sakamoto-san and Gavin Green, who will be translating. Welcome. Thank you for coming by. Now, we have some gameplay to show off. I want to hear your thoughts about it, but I have a burning question about when this game takes place, because we thought we had seen the last of Kiryu in Song of Life, and then he showed up in Like a Dragon in 7, and this is going to be setting up the next one. I guess, what kind of time period does this span? And less where does it end off, more where does it start out?
6では風間桐生とさよならしたかなと思ったんですが、このゲームのなんかいつから設定したんですか？やっぱりそう、はい、どうぞ。
龍が如く8をすでにもう発表してお別れだと思うんですけれども、春日一番と桐生一馬のダブル主人公っていう設定でもう龍が如く8を作ってました。
So actually, when we said goodbye to him, we were still planning to have him appear as a double protagonist for 8. So this has been kind of a long time, something that we've been thinking about.
で桐生一馬自体はですね、龍が如く7で、ちょっとこう助っ人としてこう春日を助けて くれるような役回りで出てきたんですけれども、その龍が如く7からこうプレイをしたユーザーの人にとってはこう桐生一馬っていう人となりがこうまだちょっと正直つかみきれてないんじゃないかなっていう不安がまずありました。
So also in 7, Kazuma kind of appeared as a sort of backup character, and a lot of people who played 7 but weren't familiar with the previous games in the series are probably still wondering like, who is this character or what's his role within the series.
でそこで改めてこう龍が如く6以降で桐生一馬が何をやっていたのか、どういうこう人生を歩んでいたのかっていうところをやっぱりこうしっかりちゃんと作品に残そうと思って、今回こう外伝という形ですけれども改めてこういう一つのパッケージとして作ることを決めました。
So this game was kind of invented as a spin-off, a Gaiden, but what we really wanted to do with it was talk about what sort of life Kazuma led from the end of 6 to the events in 8. So like what he was doing in the background, what he was up to. This is kind of the goal for this whole game.
I love it. Now, we know we're going to be returning to Sotenbori and Ijinsho, and this is a new location we're checking out right here. Can you tell us about it?
ソトンボリやイジンチョには戻ると思いますが、ここの新しい場所もあると思うんですが、この場所について話していただけますか？
これはもうすでにこうトレーラーでもいくつか公開されてますし、今回のゲームスコムで実際に体験版として遊べる状態ではなってるんですけど、これも外伝7外伝ですごく重要なロケーションであるキャッスルと言われているロケーションになります。
So this is a location called the Castle, and we've already talked about it a bit on the game trailer that has come out before. And actually here at Gamescom, we have a demo where you can play it through it as well. But yes, it's called the Castle.
Nice. Now, Kiryu has multiple fighting styles against... Sorry, Joryu, my bad. He's got Agent style, which is sort of a faster-paced one, and Yakuza style, which is, I think, one we're more familiar with. I want to talk about his gadgets. Can you tell me a little bit about the new combat abilities he has as a spy with rocket boots?
流派は2つあって、エージェント、オリューだと思うんですけれど、両方ともあるんですが、今回エージェントについていろいろ話聞かせていただきたいな。もう特にギャジェットも超スパイ的なかっこいい感じなんですが、これについてお話しいただけますか？
龍が如く6以降ですね、大道寺の一派のエージェントとして生きていくっていうことを選んだっていうところから、やっぱりこうエージェントっていう設定の中でどういった新しいアクションを作ろうかなっていったところが最初のきっかけだったりします。
So at the end of 6, kind of Kazuma decided to become an agent, kind of in the event of Daidoji and everything. But at that point, like we decided, well, how are we going to show off like how this has changed him, how this is has affected his fighting style, and that's what kind of we're showing off here.
Now, I got to ask something about the glasses, because it's like the Clark Kent disguise. When he's wearing them and people who knew him as Kiryu see him, do they know that he's Kiryu, or do they buy that he's Joryu, a whole different person? Like, is it like when people see Clark Kent and they don't know that he's Superman?
スーパーマンと同じようにこうメガネをかければ誰もカズマっていうことを理解してないっていう感じなんですが、やっぱりそういう設定なのでしょうか？本当にメガネかけてる時には誰もカズマって分かんないんですか？
今回ゲームでこうコスチュームをねいろいろカスタマイズできる要素があるので、本当にこう元桐生一馬を隠したいんであればこうプレイヤーの皆さんがいろいろコスチュームチェンジして楽しめるんですけれども、ゲームでこういう格好スーツでサングラスかけてちょっとバレてないふりしますけれども、結構物語を進めていくと桐生だっていうのがバレていくので、それはちょっとストーリーを楽しみにしといてください。
So in this game, there's actually a kind of look customization feature, so you can change the way he looks. So if you wanted to kind of like pretend like mess around with his outfit and kind of change around to make him look even less Kiryu if you wanted to, that's cool. And in the game itself, he kind of walks around and he pretends like he's not Kazuma, but this is something we kind of want people to look forward to. At some point, it's going to be pretty obvious, and there's going to be a lot of characters who are going to recognize him. But I mean, we can pretend as Clark Kent.
Wonderful. Now, one of the first looks we had at him in Infinite Wealth, he's got this crazy new hairstyle with the silver. He's getting on in years, but I have a feeling that's sort of not a natural decision. Will that be explained in Gaiden, or is that going to be something we have to wait for Infinite Wealth for?
竜8では新しい見た目になってもう本当にシルバーヘアになってるんですが、それはこのゲーム外伝では説明されているんですけど、なぜその髪型にしていたんですかっていうことを説明されるんですか？
あんまり細かくは話せないんですけれども、 こう単なるファッションでああいう見た目になったっていうわけではないってことだけは言っときます。
So we're not going to go into too much detail of it in the game, but it's not just fashion is where we'll leave it at today.
Interesting. Okay. Can you tell me how much Onomichio is in this one? Are we going to get some more fun action?
このゲームにも小野道夫さんは出るんですか？
もちろん。
Yes.
小野道夫好きなんですね。
He's like, oh yeah, you like him that much?
That's what I like to hear. Now tell me what we're seeing right here.
ここ今見せてるのは何ですか？
これはキャッスルに搭載されている闘技場と言われているバトルエリアになっています。
So this is the Colosseum, which is a special battle kind of arena within the castle.
で今まで闘技場っていうものはあったんですけれども、今回のセブンガイデンではここの闘技場がですね、こう物語も深く関わってくるような立ち位置になってまして、あとこれチームバトルだったりとか、あとこう操作できるキャラクターをですね、今チームでこう仲間になっているキャラクター全部こう操作プレイヤーとして使えることができます。
So we've always kind of had a battle arena within these games, but for this game specifically, the kind of relationship of the kind of battle arena to the game is a lot more deep, it's a lot more involved. We can't go into too much detail right now, but what we will say is that there's all sorts of different things that this battle arena does. Like you can not just play as Kazuma, you can actually unlock and kind of use other characters as your playable character while you're fighting through the arena. And so that's kind of there's also like a team battle section where you can add more different team members to your battle party. It's really cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for coming by and chatting. I'm really looking forward to this. I really miss Kiryu. I'm happy he's back. I miss that guy. Like a Dragon, Gaiden, the man who erased his name, is out November 8th for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC. And Infinite Wealth is hot on its rocket-propelled heels sometime early next year. Right now, though, more Gamescom Studio right here on IGN. Hey everybody, Max Scoville here. We are at Gamescom 2023, and I'm with Genova Chen, who is the CEO and creative director for that game company, and you're about to break a world record, I hope. Can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing here at this big world record event for Sky?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming over and giving us this opportunity to talk about it. Sky has been a game in the development for 11 years, so we are continuously pushing to make new boundaries, to break new boundaries in games. We want to create a game that really connects people together and make them feel they're not lonely. And that's what helped Sky to grow. And last December, we hosted a concert, which we really pushed the boundary of what the server can do to bring 4,000 people together. But a lot of the players, they saw the game, they said, oh, that must be fake, right? That's not real players. You know, you should just play other concert in other games. So we wanted to really, you know, have someone to come in to tell the players, not only are those people real, and we're actually going to set a world record, right? It's very rare for a small indie company to be able to really push the technology to bring something new. So we're here to break 2 world records. The first one is the largest audience in any concert in a virtual world. We will try to break 10,000 audience all playing at the same time today in about 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, we're just about 29 minutes and 42 seconds out. This video might go up after that, so you'll have to check the results after the fact.
Right.
This is, what's the,
and
record?
The second Guinness record is the most player emoting together at the same time in a video game.
The emote heard around the world. Have you picked the emote that they're all doing, or is it ever which one for themselves? Or
they are very likely to be doing the same emote, but there's always deviants. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of people to corral. Yes. Now, can you talk a little bit about the concert? You're having Aurora perform?
Yes.
And this is an reverse concert. Can you talk a little bit about the sort of collaboration there? Because I think we all know how like a concert in person happens. What's it like to make a virtual one?
So for those of you who know Aurora, she's a very famous singer in Norway. We actually collaborated with her back in 2017 before her sound breakout, Runaway that hits, almost 500 million views. What we let her do is the beginning song and the ending credits, because we really like her voice and we love the message she's doing. So when we did the concert together, we want to not just give you 12 minutes of music, we actually want to tell you a story. And so we convert every single song into a level where you play as a complete different character to experience a narrative roller coaster ride. Last December, we have seen many players who go through the concert actually have tears in the end. So this year, not only we're gonna bring the concert back, we will also bring Aurora herself into the game. So she's gonna be there live, and she can interact with the fans. Right? I'm pretty sure this is also some kind of record because, what is the largest online virtual fan meetups, you've ever been to, right? Like, you will have one celebrity and 9,999 fans in the same stadium. We don't know what's going to happen. We'll see,
I love it. It's an experiment. Now, if you could get any artist, living or dead, musician, band, whatever, to perform in Sky, who would you go with?
I mean, if we haven't done the Aurora concert, we will still go with her because the message she has in her songs, it matches with the theme of Sky perfectly. But after Aurora, we're working on it.
Okay, yes. All right. Yes. Very cool. Now, the other big news these days is that Sky is coming to PC. Can you tell us a little bit about what's new and exciting for you as a developer on that side of it, and also what fans have to look forward to?
So, if you remember Journey, that's my attempt to make an MMO game when we only have 12 people and one engineer who knows how to write online code. But even though we only have one other player you meet in Journey, we want to make it a genuine human connections. We really want to see games bring people together and form friendships. Now, when we bring the games to mobile phone and then to Switch and to PlayStation, each time we bring a new platform, we will upgrade our technology. Right? So now with the PC coming, we can do up to 10,000 players having a wonderful event together. Not only did we upgrade our backend server technology, we also really upgraded the graphics. You're gonna see Sky in 4K, 120 frames per second, and HDR. I don't see many games really focusing on the HDR, but Sky is a beautiful game. And if you can see the game in the HDR screen, you will never want to go back. I guarantee you.
Cool. Now you also have a Sky 2.0 update in the works. Right. Can you give a little tease of what's in store for that?
So up till now, we have many ambitions about what an online game is supposed to look like. Today we have our version number is 0.2027. We still haven't hit 1.0. So next year, we guarantee you we're gonna get to 1.0 and Sky is gonna enter a new milestone. And there are many new interesting features that will make Sky the most socially engaging and emotional MMO in the world.
Amazing. And you have another thing in the works, which is an animation project. Are we going to see that pretty soon?
Yes, so when we are developing the story of Sky and release it through the games, it's just not very efficient. A lot of our players wanted to know more about the lore and the history of the game, and having an animated show is really the most effective way to introduce the player to the history of the world. And so we have a new show called Sky, the Two Embers. We are planning to release it next year. And so here's a little teaser. You can take a look. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Genova, you're keeping really busy. I am very excited to see this show, and I'm excited for more people to, check out Sky. You've got a world record to break, so I'm going to let you go. We have more Gamescom on the way. Stick around.
Thank you.
Behind every game, movie, and TV show you love is a wild, crazy, and sometimes unbelievable story.
No one is just black and white.
From revealing the secrets behind your favorite franchises to solving a legendary video game mystery,
I'm coming for you.
IGN Inside Stories gives you a peek behind the curtain.
If people come to the game now and see what's going on there, I think they'll be surprised.
Join us as we dive into hyper-dedicated fan bases, worldwide phenomenons, and the most incredible untold tales in games and entertainment.
I said, wait a minute, that doesn't sound so good.
It was definitely not what I expected in the best way.
Inside Stories, available now only on IGN.
And I was like, holy shit, we're gonna do this.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection of the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
Welcome back to Gamescom Studio, powered by IGN. The Brazilian gaming scene continues to grow and evolve, producing exciting and unique games. And with the formation of the Brazil Games Export Program, it's only getting bigger and better. Here to tell me all about it is Rodrigo Terra, president of Aber Games. Welcome to the IGN Studio.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me here.
So I think we're going to take a look at some very cool games out of the Brazilian gaming scene in just a moment. But first, tell us about the Brazil Games Export Program.
So the Export Program, it's been out for 10 years now. The mission of the export program is to bring Brazilian studios to the international audience. Even events like Gamescom, in which has a B2B component very important, and obviously a consumer aspect of the event as well, to studios to see the international audience, to showcase their games, and obviously doing a business. So we've been doing that in all major events in the world. So GDC, Gamescom, and other ones in Asia and throughout the world. And obviously we want to get back to Brazil because we have the big festival, which is international festival as well. And then the export program supports also the studios to be there and to showcase to audience, an international audience there as well. So it's mainly focused on bringing the best games, the best projects, and the best companies to be face-to-face with a publisher or investor or any other kind of opportunity they can have here in the international market.
Can you give us a sense of the size of the Brazilian gaming community? For instance, Aber Games is an association of Brazilian game developers.
Yeah.
Do you have like an idea of how many members there are or how many development studios there are?
Yeah. Aber Games members, we are 170-ish now. The whole Brazil has more than 1,000 studios nowadays.
Wow.
So throughout Brazil, across the whole country. And then we represent like 10-12% of it. And we have a network of 17 local entities which are connected with Aber Games, and then covers the other 90% of the developers. Here at Gamescom this year, we have 50 companies that came with us with the export program, and 10 other companies for incubator accelerators programs in the state of São Paulo, and city of São Paulo as well. So we came together this year again, but now with more and more companies than ever. That we ever done in our life. So it's the largest delegation ever.
Very cool. Let's take a look at some games. One of them that looks really cool to me is Chess-A-Rama.
Chess-A-Rama.
Sort of like a a twist on chess. It's not just classic chess, right?
Exactly.
Tell us about this game.
Yeah, so the studio itself, so Chessorama is one of these takes that I usually talk about the Brazilian creativities in the Brazilian studio. So Chessorama, and obviously the studio itself behind it, they're trying to create a mashup of genres, right? In terms of how they can create a more fun game and recreate the experience of the chairs, chessboards, right? And you're seeing different themes like chess with soccer, chess with princes, chess in the medieval ages. So that's how I feel that the take of a Brazilian studio. You know, to have like a signature. We always have a twist in terms of genre. We don't exactly replicate something that was out there or it's a trend, just a trend. But they obviously, I mean, that's why I love to work down there, because people are getting out the craziest ideas ever and make them quality games. So that make them polished, make them very interesting to play. So I'm waiting to play the next build of it. So
yeah, this looks really fun and clever. I want to play that game. That's coming out this year?
I think so.
Okay, I hope so. The next one is The Light of Darkness.
Yeah.
What do we need to know about this game?
Well, it's a side-scroller, 2.5D, very well polished, very well visually.
Oh yeah.
Incredible one, and it's a mix. So you are a hybrid being between an angel and a demon. And the thing of Light of Darkness, I think it's they trying to bring a new take on what is the not just the side-scrolling, but the theme of being. So I'm watching. I haven't watched that one. So that's really that's a new version of it, and I haven't saw that.
Wow.
So they're trying to make that a very challenging side scroller. It's not super easy exactly to play. But yeah, so and they invested on the graphics. So what we're going to see in that will be a beautiful 2.D side scroller with that take on mythological beings and etc. And you play it as a hybrid being that sounds and looks really fun to.
Yeah. Is this Metroidvania?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you're speaking my language. These are my kind of games. The last we're going to take a look at is Tower of Samsara 2. The original. The original's already out.
Yeah.
This is well, the original is like a Souls-like puzzle platformer.
Yeah.
Is that what this one is as well?
Yeah. So Tower of Samsara is the second installment of Helix Studio. It's a studio from the countryside in São Paulo. And in this game, actually, they tried to continue the story of the first game, right? Yeah. And the fun story about this Tower of Samsara, now it's a kind of franchise, right? So they're trying to create a kind of new template of game. So you can create very Souls-like-esque side-scrolling in pixel art for many instruments of it. So they try to create like a basis of the gameplay in a way they can replicate. And then this second one, and they are amazing art as well. So I love the pixel art that they do. Helix, they sort of great. Obviously, all of our members, the studio, all of the delegation, we bring only the best what is being doing in Brazil. And to my joy, many studios now are reaching there. So, but this is just 3 examples.
Sure.
We have more than 100 games here being shown this year during Gamescom. I mean, to publishers, the studios brought the prototypes and the games itself. So the scene now in Brazil is really strong. So and I can say it's equally comparable to any other place in the world.
I mean, if these 3 games are any representation, I want to play all 3 of these games.
Yeah, me too. And I love Tower of Samsara, it's my favorite. So
very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming by the IGN stage and sharing all the cool stuff that the Brazilian development scene is up to.
Thank you so much.
All right. It is awesome and inspiring to see the Brazilian gaming scene continue to grow. We've got tons more video game coverage ahead right here on Gamescom Studio, so stick around.
Hey, you! Yes, you! Do you have FOMC? Fear of missing Gamescom? Relax. Gamescom is everywhere you want. Gamescom now. Register now.
Tune into IGN 1 on your smart TVs for the latest news on your favorite releases, gameplay exclusives, and all the entertainment you can handle.
Cinefix on IGN 1, your friendly Friday night home for film fanaticism.
You're watching The Weekly Fix, ready to fill you in on anything you may have missed in the world of gaming and entertainment.
Welcome to Should I Play This? This is what to watch here on IGN 1.
Find it all in one place for free on IGN 1.
They turned into a network. Who knew?
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on the Cinefix Top 100, Mondays, starting July 3rd.
Why so serious?
Revealed right here at Gamescom this week, Project Mugen is the massive new free-to-play open-world RPG heading your way soon. Here to tell me all about it is Ritten Wong, Senior Marketing Director. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
The IGN stage here.
Yeah.
Congrats on the announcement of this game.
Yes, I'm so excited to announce this game in Gamescom.
Yeah.
And I hope that everyone will going to like the PV and waiting for the more news that we're going to release in the future. Yeah.
Well, so tell us what's this all about? Project Mugen. This is it's an kind of an urban open world game.
Yep, it is. It's kind of the anime style, art style, but based on urban, real life city scope, kind of the big world, and so that to enable the users, players can to explore the world.
So what is this world? What is this city that we're looking at right here?
Yeah, I think this is, we need to go back to the original idea that the producers and the original production team, they want to do is that they want to bring the urban city to life, because they believe that during the urban city that people will see a lot of things that you see every day and you are very familiar with, but on top of that, we will have something abnormal phenomenon we build behind the normal city, so that you will find there's some conflict between the reality and something abnormal, and this can bring the tension behind that, so that people can experience something like the watch the firework, and maybe you can see the movie in the game, and you can also enjoy some of the coffee shops like in the game, but also at the same time you can explore and identify some weird and strange story behind that. So this is what we want to do. And
so we're seeing a lot of characters here. Who are these? Who are the main characters, and what are they trying to accomplish?
Yeah, we do have in this PV, you will see that we have already introduced 5 different characters here, and each of them are very different. Have some special identities there. For example, we have a bunny girl. You can see that she's a very funny girl, and also she has a warhammer as a weapon, and also it's a vehicle for him to move in the city. And also, we have another following heroes we are developing, and it's on the way.
I think we're seeing some of the combat here. Can you talk about how the combat's going to work?
Oh yes, so far we have developed a different combat style here. It's not only related to the character's identity, but also we have some special weapons here. For example, we have the baseball bat that can spray flames, and also maybe a yo-yo that can change the size, and you can leverage this kind of thing as a weapon to battle with your enemies. And also we have special movement here. So if you combine the movement and the special weapon together, you will find or create some interesting combination during the battle. Yeah.
Is it true you're able to make use of sort of elements in the environment
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. You can see from the PV that you can always leverage the elements from the environment. And you for example, some character can use the mind power to control some elements. For example, the trash can and cars to hit or to beat the enemies. So it's really freedom.
So is it all in this one city, or do we ever go beyond the city limits?
This is so far we have built this thing in one city, but we have more and more cities map we are developing right now. And so at the end, I cannot tell that it's there is one city game or a multiple city game.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can you give us a rough idea of just how big the city is?
I think it's hard to say now because the team is working very hard, developing more and more elements in the city and build a bigger city map right now. And this really depends on the time and the work behind that. Yeah.
Can you talk about the traversal mechanics a little bit? We see characters swinging, there's some parkour, there's some wall running. It seems like there's a lot of different ways to get around the city.
Yeah, I think this is an idea from the production team that they want to provide different unlimited movement for players to enjoy, to explore the city. So you can see there's a parkour, kind of the free running and also the swinging like Spider-Man in the city. And so that can enable the players to experience that how with a different side angle, and also to experience that when you are swinging fast between the different building, that kind of very exciting experience. And also we have a different vehicles that designed in this game, then so you can choose either you doing the climbing the wall, run on the roof of the building, or even you ride a vehicle or motorcycle in the city and to explore it. Yeah.
So outside of combat, what other activities can our characters do in the city?
Yeah, we will have first of all, we will trying to bring those normal life activity into the city. For example, you can see the live house there, and also you can go to a cinema with your companies and to enjoy to watch a movie there. And on the other hand, there we have built a chaos abnormal phenomenon here. So you as a we call it the infinite trigger, the player's code, infinite trigger, and you can to investigate all the abnormal case behind that.
So Project Mugen, what does that mean? What is Mugen?
Okay, Mugen actually, it's I think this is from the producer's idea because Mugen is a word that means infinite. So it's quite in line with our concept. We want to build an infinite world here and infinite experience here. On the other hand, Mugen is a kind of similar pronunciation with Chinese 无限, which is also the meaning of infinite.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it has a very cool look, very cool like anime art style. Can you sort of talk about how you landed on the look of the game, the visual identity of it?
This is because the team is really a big fan of the anime, and they are trying to bring their idea to life. So they have very strong strengths on this art style. So that's why they build on this, and also because it's not a it's not real art style. So this leave us a room that to introduce some abnormal or strange characters, or maybe some strange phenomenons that into this world. It will make it not so weird.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, Project Mugen, it's looking awesome. When are we going to get to play it?
We are still in developing this game, so also I'm very eager to see the how it will going to be. But we will have some news to release once we have be ready to show to the players, and I hope that everyone can join the world and to give us feedback to help us to optimize the game, fine tune the game. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming by the IGN studio here.
Yeah, thank you so much, team.
Okay, you can pre-register for Project Mugen right now, so go do that and keep watching IGN for all things Project Mugen. We've got lots more right ahead here on Gamescom Studios, so stick around.
What's up, Cobra fans? Welcome to Cobra's Corner. Is this for real? Yes, Black Sabbath. 3 huge game developers have gotten together to create the ultimate gaming experience. The top video game players in the world. Are they any good in real-life battle royale type situation? Not this, but actually this. It's not playing around on the screen. We do have ex-Navy SEALs coming down. We need the best of the best. Anybody can play. You just gotta be brave enough to take a bullet. Hello Kitty wants to know if it hurts. Bam! Of course it hurts. We donate 100 grand worth of cyber limbs. But there's a chance for fame. There's a chance for fortune. I need you to take her down to Midtown Harbor. Do not f up. You can also... Oh, God. Hey, look at me. Welcome to me. Fans, click me, like me. I don't care. Watch me. Don't watch me. I'm over this whole thing. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button at the bottom of the screen.
Video games have borrowed quite a bit from Neil Blomkamp's movies, and now he's working on one of his own, and we just got our first look at what looks like in action, and here to tell us all about it, Off the Grid, Chief Visionary Officer at Gunzilla Games, Neil Blomkamp. Welcome, dude. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is like an annual tradition now.
I know.
We sit here all year and wait for you to show up, and you finally come in. Okay, so we found out that this game has a 60-hour campaign, but it's also a 150-player multiplayer game. How on earth does that work?
Well, I mean, we still have to make sure it can work, but the idea basically is in the middle of a battle royale, you would be able to choose to go on specific missions, and as you execute those missions, you get basically cinematic cutscenes that expand on characters and expand on the world, and you can kind of opt into it or not. But we want to make it as compelling as possible.
Does that mean like someone come up behind you and shoot you in the head while you're watching a cutscene, or? No,
that's a big part of it is to try to figure out how to isolate the player. So like, I mean, obviously the battle royale continues.
Right.
You're basically locked away for a minute or, a minute 30. And then, I mean, we're curious to see if we can make it work.
I genuinely love the transparency on that. That's really cool. Now we got to look at some traversal here, and it looks pretty sweet. You've got jetpacks, you got grappling hooks, you got big ass APCs. Can you tell us a little bit about sort of how much of this stuff is stuff found on the playing field? How much of it is player upgrades? What are we sort of working towards between rounds?
Well, there's a lot of it is found on the battlefield, and like obviously, we want to try to create a situation where we have extremely rare items that are lying around, and so it's from very, very exotic and rare all the way over to like more common. And I think one of the things that when I came on, one of the things that Gunzilla had already figured out that I loved was this idea of cyber limbs. And it's like you see customization all the time, obviously with weapons, and you see it with skins, but it kind of ends there. There's this whole other element with limbs that the game has that I think is super, super interesting. So making those rare items that can be, gathered in the island is important.
What's the sort of like creation process like in terms of developing these limb upgrades? Like how crazy do you get when you pitch it, and did they say yes, no, go for it?
Well, I mean, so Vlad Korolev, who is the CEO, is massively influential in the way the game design occurs. Like he's an exceptionally obsessive gamer, and is very knowledgeable about what he thinks the best way is to implement gameplay. And one thing that he was adamant about was that the cyberlimbs cannot be weapons, right? They can't be guns themselves. Right. Whatever we do, it has to revert back to being able to have hands and be able to hold weapons. So the weapon is sort of more familiar or traditional to the traditional gamer, right? The cyberlimb then becomes a little bit more exotic in what you can do with it, but as long as it isn't a weapon. So initially we were thinking along, fairly traditional lines, and then as we expand, hopefully we can start introducing more and more crazy shit.
I like that rule because it sort of like paints you into a specific corner.
Yeah, it's clever.
Yeah, you have to be creative to get your way out of. I like that.
Now, can we talk about this guy in the trailer? What's his deal? What's his story?
Sholto. So,
oh, awesome.
We were wondering.
No. So Sholto's in Off the Grid. He's actually okay. Let me explain the background and the lore, because the background to the game is actually I totally love what we've come up with. So, the idea is about 30 or 40 years from now, 3 game companies, it may be game companies, that we're sort of like kind of familiar with, buy an island in the Pacific. Okay. And once they've purchased the island in the Pacific, they also go out and purchase resuscitation technology from the US military. So when you go to the island for real and you suit up, you can opt to have your limbs cut off. You get cyber limbs. So the idea would be Twitch streamers and gamers actually go there to challenge one another, right? To a real life battle royale. And then you die and you get injected with resuscitation nanobots, and then they bring you back to life. So if you were to make a film or a TV show out of it, you'd have people in hospital beds recovering, because it's like probably a 5-month recovery of like growing your limbs again.
Right.
And sort of tweeting about how the experience was, right? Or they'd win. They could also, obviously, they could win as well.
So it's kind of a game. It's a game within a game.
Yeah,
right?
It is.
Yeah.
And that means that some of the missions and the stuff in the cutscenes that we're doing are actually, it's almost like the Running Man. Like they're synthetic. But then you've got real missions behind the synthetic missions, where maybe some of the game designers have an actual mission that they've sent you on, right? So Sholto, his character's name is Cobra. He got lobotomized and got turned into what the companies think is the ultimate Twitch streamer. But the problem is he doesn't remember himself. As soon as the cameras stop rolling, he'll just sort of sit there blank and not know who he is. So he's like, it's all personality with basically nothing. So a lot of what you'll begin to do is learn about his backstory.
Yeah, I'm so into all of that.
Something I love in the original Battle Royale novel, or the movie. There's always like there's an announcer.
The
who
Japanese
comes on.
one.
Yeah. And it's like it's something that I feel like is sort of missing from the actual game genre. Will he be like giving updates on the state of the game? Like is he sort of narrating?
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to do. And I mean, obviously the original Battle Royale, which is an amazing film, it's kind of imagine if you took that film but you switched out the school kids with everyone who thought that they were, if you were to make a film out of it, everyone who thought they were tough or they were able to actually compete. So it would draw in the best actual gamers. It would draw in ex-Special Forces guys. It would draw in bouncers. It would draw in it could be anyone. It could be an accountant who just wants to see how he does. Yeah. So
just bored.
Yeah, it's like PUBG in real life.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like the first stuff we saw of this was very, very gritty. It looked awesome, but we get a lot of gritty, tough games, and since then we've gotten a lot of very funny stuff, like Just Deal with Delia. We've got Cobra here.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about sort of finding the right tonal balance while still giving players control of the situation? Because obviously, I mean, you kind of cover for that with the sort of the meta style of it, but
tonally it took a while to narrow in exactly on the tone that we have now, which I think is perfect, because it has a little bit of not a little bit, it's overtly satirical now.
Right.
So it's and I mean, you can't have a real world battle royale without it being satirical, right? So it is satire, but then it's satire mixed with the kind of real-world cyberpunk tone of Elysium. You know, it's some mixture of those two things. So all of the hardcore imagery still holds. I mean, most of our stuff is based on this now. And then there's a sort of a societal or a sort of socio-satirical layer that's woven into it.
I love it. Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
You're a filmmaker. This is one of the most powerful engines ever. It's being used in films. So what's it like working with that? How exciting is that prospect?
Well, I mean, my own history is in 3D graphics and VFX. So I initially had a real interest in games because they're a way to build 3D environments and sort of light them and drop, not even a player, just drop someone into that environment and feel it, which is the most interesting part of 3D graphics to me. So the idea that it's real time and the idea that it can do the level of fidelity that it can do, and you can watch artists relight stuff and you can watch shadows and even bouncing light and radiosity move. It's just very, very cool. But we've also created now, like, I don't know, 40 or 50 minutes of footage in Unreal. So that pipeline is getting worked out better and better, like day by day.
Awesome. Neil, thank you so much, man. This
thank you,
Off the Grid looks incredible. Every time we see you, there's more and more to look at here, and I'm just more and more excited about it. So thanks for swinging by.
Yeah, thank you.
Off the Grid will be out soon. While you're waiting for it, you can watch Neil's latest movie, Gran Turismo, in theaters right now. And after that, go watch Chappie, because Chappie effing rules.
Go watch Chappie.
Yeah, go watch Chappie. We always talk about Chappie. We need more people to talk about Chappie with. Go watch Chappie.
Excellent journalism.
Thank you. More Gamescom Studio right after this, so stick around.
We're here at the Black Myth Wukong booth because we just played it. Matt, what did you think?
Well, I think there was always a suspicion this was going to be game of the show, right? And I've not played everything at the show, but it's certainly my game of the show.
It was really, really fun. What they had on display today was 4 bosses.
Yep.
And they have a challenge for you to defeat all of them.
Yeah.
We almost got 2.
Almost got 2. Well,
Yeah.
almost 3 between us, because I played a boss that you didn't, and you mostly played a boss that I mostly didn't. But yeah, these bosses they're very much within the Souls category. Like, I think if you played a Souls game, you're going to be familiar, but they've definitely got a different take on it, right?
Yeah.
There's no blocking. You play this monkey character that has the staff, and it's entirely about the offense, and mostly then dodging from that point on, and the fact that you've not got that block makes it a very different combat proposition, and those bosses are sort of Sekiro-like in many ways, but without that block, they are tough.
Yeah, everything is really, really fast-paced. You have these magical abilities that you can activate. What were some of your favorites that you found yourself using?
So there's one which, as someone that's played a lot of Elden Ring recently, I really liked one where you could summon in a gang of monkeys to attack, which was almost a little bit like having my Mimic tier back. But actually there was a Ring of Fire, which I really, really enjoyed using. I saw you use it more than me. But when you put down this Ring of Fire, particularly against this monkey boss we were against, like the Macaque King, it meant that like he was scared of the fire, so he'd back off, giving you that precious time to like drink from the gourds, get my health back, and then basically start the tirade again, just get back in, hit him with this staff that you can change where you hold it and get different grips on it and do different sorts of damage in heavies. There's a lot. I feel like I only got a very minor grasp on it, but I did like what I felt.
Yeah, oh man, it was just such a joy to play on the show floor. One of my favorite abilities was Stone.
Yeah.
Because if you time it right, your opponent gets tripped up, and then you can just, get some damage in while he's staggered. Tell me more about that boss that you played that I didn't, though, the fourth one on the list.
So the Black Lung, he's essentially like a giant half pig, half dragon looking beast, but he's got what essentially look like massive maracas that generate lightning. And so kind of about midway through the fight, sort of where you'd expect your stage 2 to start, he starts drumming with them and it creates these rhythmic patterns, and you have to leap over the thunder waves they create. And it's almost slightly Guitar Hero-like in that, like, you have to learn the rhythm and start doing the bounces with it. And I thought that, along with, many other attacks that you have to learn, and he's a bit slower than some of the other fights we were doing. Like the Macaque was very, very fast. That Tiger you fought was super fast.
Yeah.
He was slower than them, but he packed a punch, and so it was that learning how to, you've got to dodge, like one hit from him was like more or less game over.
Yeah, the Tiger boss that I got a chance to encounter, he was probably the toughest boss out of all the ones that I got to play. Very, very fast. he would turn that stone move I mentioned earlier on me, so if I hit him, I would get staggered, and he would attack me from a different angle because it was a decoy. Man, this game has so many interesting facets to it that any player is going to dive into, and I was saying that it's going to be great when we see the high-level players really get
Oh,
into
absolutely. Kind of like, from Elden Ring, we all know that watching people fight Melania was the highlight of the community for that, seeing sort of like, let me solo her, get their game so high. And I can't wait to see what the high-level bosses in this are. And the sort of moves that, like, there is clearly a move set that I've not touched in there. Sort of like, I feel so novice at the moment. But I can't wait to see people that master that staff and learn how to do all sorts of cool moves with it.
One other thing we were talking about was the palette differed from stage to stage.
Yeah.
It wasn't like one note, it wasn't all gray. Was there one that stuck out to you?
So I would say sort of like we got to play a full stage, which was in kind of like a very dusty sort of Dust Bowl environment with collapsed statues. That was good, but I would say kind of like its level design wasn't particularly fully interesting at that point. But what I will say is when we moved into the mountain area, which was covered in this beautiful snow that deforms as you walk through it in real time, whilst we only got to see a very small amount of that level, it did look gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for the snow level. The Tiger King boss level, it's in this gorgeous like shrine with all these statues surrounding it, and we just stopped for a second and just looked at what the level designers had created, and I love that. Like any game that makes you just stop and take notice for a few seconds, they're doing something right.
Oh yeah, you can tell it's on next-gen tech.
Yeah. Unreal Engine 5, really excited about that. So overall thoughts, Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, so far my game in the show, I've not played everything here, but this really, I love Sekiro, I love Bloodborne, this really spoke to my sensibilities.
Yeah. Well, are you hyped for Black Myth Wukong? Let us know in the comments below, and for more on all things gaming and Gamescom, keep it right here with IGN.
Be there. Be strong. Be fierce. Be better. Be different. Be winning. Be epic. Be you at Gamescom 23. Come and be everything at Gamescom 2023.
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on the Cinefix Top 100, Mondays, starting July 3rd.
Why so serious?
6 years ago, while talking about Sonic on Game Scoop, Brian, you had this to say.
Real point where we need to admit that this was never really a great franchise.
Nope.
Wow. It was never really a good franchise, huh, Brian? Well, I'm sorry. We're well over, believe it or not, 100 Sonic games, 2 movies, a long-running comic book series, and 6 shows. When you besmirch Sonic, you besmirch everyone associated with Sonic, okay, Brian? Brian, I want to present you with this.
I will hold that L. I was wrong. I have since come around on that character. I have watched the movies with my kid and enjoyed them immensely. Sonic Frontiers is fun. I liked Sonic Colors. I liked Sonic Generations. I liked Sonic Mania. Something we can all agree on is that Sonic has been good. It's Crash Bandicoot that's never been good.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
If you enjoyed that, check out full episodes of Beyond, IGN's PlayStation show, as we talk, argue, and goof on everything PlayStation. New episodes drop every Tuesday on IGN.com and IGN Games on YouTube.
Coming next year in February, one of the most beloved real-time strategy games gets a long overdue sequel. Here to tell us all about Homeworld 3, please welcome Martin Sirlis, lead writer, and Lance Mueller, game director. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, it's been 20 years since Homeworld 2. What was it like to come back to the universe and pick up the story where it left off?
Exciting.
Yep.
Homeworld is my first love. It's the first project I worked on. And to come back and have everything there and to be surrounded by people who are excited about it as I am, who are as steeped in the lore as I am, has been a wonderful experience. I've really deeply enjoyed it.
Were there storylines from back then that you'd been thinking of all this time that you were able to pick up again?
Yeah, actually, I've kept my hand in here and there. I wrote some work for Deserts of Carrick. Just yeah, the universe just feels good, and there's themes that were great to explore and take further than we had in the past.
So what can fans expect from the story in Homeworld 3?
You can expect a game that goes further and farther than previous Homeworld, one that examines things we set up and the implications, and you can expect to deal with a galactic level threat.
That sounds very serious. Any familiar faces that fans will recognize?
Yes, though I cannot speak of them now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very tantalizing. Can you tell us about any new protagonists in Homeworld 3?
There's the enemy, the Incarnates, and their leader, the Queen. And they are a very dark expression of certain things in the Homeworld universe. And like I said, it's not hyperbole. They represent a threat that can remake the galaxy. And the player and the characters with you are the only thing standing in their way.
Is this a game where you have a created named protagonist, or do players create their own character?
Names are created.
Okay.
Play along.
Okay. So let's talk about War Games. This is a new mode?
Yes.
Homeworld 3? What's, and I think it's inspired by roguelites, actually, is that right?
Yeah, so War Games is a 3-player cooperative experience where you're able to go into sequential missions. You'll be playing a run, 3 missions in a row, that'll pull from a pool of random levels and random objectives as you go into it. So the first mission, you'll come in, you'll be given a random objective that you and your team have to either succeed or fail. Once you've done that and you've succeeded, you'll actually get an artifact, and that'll come in and actually modify your fleet. So that'll give you upgrades or bonuses for your fighters, make them go faster, or your frigates, make them more powerful and be able to get them right in the combat zone. And then also potentially new ships. You'll be able to build new ships that aren't available in the other game modes. That'll give you this huge power boost, and you'll have to work with your friends as you go through this, and hopefully you'll make it as far as you can.
Sure. And then sometimes all the stars will align and you'll just make it super far in one run.
Well, you'll get all of these different combinations, like your assault frigates will be super powerful, they'll start blowing everything out of the sky, and your buddy's got, assault frigates or ion frigates that are just lasering everything out of the sky, and you just come together to make that perfect run, and you work your way to the final mission, which is kind of a little boss fight. We don't want to spoil too much, but there's unique objectives in there that once you complete, you'll actually have to fight something, and hopefully you'll win.
So since it's roguelite, is there anything persistent from run to run, anything that carries over?
So right now we have a meta that you'll be able to, as you complete objectives, you'll be getting meta progression, and you'll be unlocking new fleets, new artifacts that'll be able to use in your next run that you can use with you and your friends.
So when you were starting work on Homeworld 3, where did the idea for the War Games mode even come from?
So for us, we're really excited about what everybody's doing, all the developers in this space, and what they're doing is super inspiring for us. So what we took, we took that and we looked at our skirmish mode, and we were like, can we bring some of this energy that these are bringing to Homeworld 3 and to an RTS? And really, War Games is the expression of that thought experiment.
Is there any part of War Games 3 that's actually in the campaign mode, or is it completely separate?
So a lot of the units that will cross over, and you'll be using a subset of that. But right now, a lot of the artifacts are completely separate. We want to make sure that we build an amazing campaign experience for everyone. The Homeworld they know and love, the amazing story that Barnes Sorellis is putting together. But for the War Games, we really want to be able to do a little bit more, which is a little outside of the Homeworld specific vein, but adds a little bit more engagement and variability.
So I like RTS games. I've played a lot of RTS games. I've never played the Homeworld games. I know that they're beloved, very highly rated on IGN, in fact. Mm-hmm. What is it? What do you think it is that is sort of the hook? What's the unique aspect to this RTS game?
For me, it's really the cinematic, visceral combat of the game. You come in, it's very low APM, so for anybody who wants to get into an RTS that doesn't, you don't have the micro, you can micro to a certain extent, but a lot of the units, they just flow. You feel like you're commander of a fleet, and you have a pilot, and they know their job. They're a pilot. They go out, they fly the plane, they make sure they work within terrain and cover, and so for me, I think really Homeworld allows players to enjoy a narrative experience first, with good gameplay and amazing spectacle and fully three-dimensional gameplay.
There's some very sort of classically classically trained computer games having a moment right now with Baldur's Gate 3 and Diablo 4. Do you think it's a time for the RTS genre to sort of make a comeback as well?
100%. Like, we love the RTS genre. Blackbird Interactive has made a bunch of different RTSs, and we would love to see, you know, more, not just us, but everybody getting into the RTS space. It's a wonderful place, and we love it.
Since it has been 20 years since Homeworld 2, how are you thinking about onboarding players that didn't play the previous games?
So we've actually been working really hard on making sure that we have a tutorial that is engaging, but also informative, using, you know, good modern conventions. If you played Homeworld when it first came out, you almost needed like a physics degree to be able to understand how to control everything. We're really focused on bringing that whole franchise to 2023. So knowing RTS standards, modern day accessibility and usability, UX design. So we want to make sure it's available for anybody to pick up and play.
Thank you so much for coming by the IGN studio here.
No problem.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Homeworld 3 will be coming home in February next year on PC. Until then, there's lots more Gamescom Studio right here on IGN.
Hey there, I am Seth Macy coming to you from Gamescom 2023 here in the Xbox booth. We have Towerborne behind us, and I am joined by
Arnie Jorgensen. I'm the Chief Creative Officer at Stoic.
Awesome. Could you tell us a little something about Towerborne? Like, what's the lore behind Towerborne?
Sure. The lore behind Towerborne is that you're being borne aloft by this giant tower, which is sort of the last bastion of hope for humanity in a world that's been dominated by monsters. So your job is to go out into these wilds, and as an ace, that's the name of your character, go out into the wilds and kind of defend humanity, bring them back to the tower, and try to escape before the next season comes upon you.
Awesome. And I know the Banner Saga series, which was the preceding games that you worked on, also had sort of a post-apocalyptic end of the world. What is it about the end of the world that's so like appealing to you all as developers?
This is not lost on me. It's pretty funny that we keep revisiting this, but this one's done in a very different way. Banner Saga was more of an adult, story-based, long burn game, and some people, in a joking way maybe, called it a depression simulator. It was a really deep, story-based game. This one's a much more hopeful take on that. This is not even a stress simulator. This is Towerborne is designed to be a really fun game that you can get together with your friends online or sit on a couch, play with your family and friends, and just do a really fun romp. We picture Towerborne as the type of game that, you know, you can go play all these other games that we see here, and it's awesome. You're going to be going back and forth, but you'll always kind of return to Towerborne, play a few missions with your friends, work up your gear, empower your weapons, learn more about the story, the evolving storyline that we're telling. So that's kind of the way we see it. It's a game that people will always kind of come back to and check season to season and play more with their family and friends.
I played it yesterday. I had a really good time. And the first thing I noticed was it was a little different than I was expecting, and I won't spoil it, but what are the influences behind the gameplay of Towerborne?
Well, we have some amazing combat designers. So what we're playing here at Gamescom is really a tiny bite of the combat that Towerborne has. And we have the combat designers from Killer Instinct, and the team is just fantastic. So it's a really tight combat experience that people are playing here, but what they're not seeing is a much larger game. You go out into a wide world of a map, and you interface with this map, kind of like a candy shop for yourself. You go out every day, you're going to be finding new things, chests to uncover, bosses, monster clusters, and all these things are affording the player new places to find really cool gear, really cool weapons, and sort of explore the world of Towerborne. Beyond that, we have, obviously the quest system, but it's being written by Alex Thomas, who's the same writer of Banner Saga, and it's absolutely phenomenal. He's having a really good time writing stuff that's more hopeful, more positive than what we've done in the past. So it's a very different mood of a game than we've done before, and we're having a lot of fun doing it.
Awesome. Could you tell me a little bit about the weapon system, how that works?
Yeah, sure. The weapon and gear is part of your loadout. So every single piece of gear here, you can find pieces, bring them back to the tower, reforge them with materials that you found to higher and higher levels. So like I'm saying, the gear does that. You can fit it with aspects, which is a mod system. Same thing with the weapons. You can work them up into higher ranges, go find different type of weapons. But the weapons themselves are the class of the character in Towerborne. So if I go out with a sword and shield, that's a certain class. You might go out with a war club. We're going to be launching with multiple different weapons. The interesting thing too, though, is you could have a sword and shield, I could have a sword and shield, and they might have very different abilities. And then even if we had the same type sword and shield, I could build my whole kit to be very different and unique to my gameplay style. So we're having a lot of fun kind of messing around with that. These are the deep ARPG mechanics that we're adding to the genre that feel really new and refreshing.
Awesome. The world evolves as you play the game. Could you explain how that system works a little?
So there's deep answers to this, and I'm going to try to make it as short as I can, just for the viewership here. But the world's going to be evolving as the players play. And I've worked on a lot of MMOs in my past. That's what we come from, is a background of MMOs and large-scale development. And we've always promised players, like, oh, the story's going to be evolving based on, how you guys, digest it and all that. And it's a very hard thing to do. I can kind of consider it the holy grail of game design. So we built our map system and our quests and missions from the ground up, being heavily modifiable. Season by season, we're going to be splaying out a whole new map, and we can do it very quickly with a tool set. We can include all the new materials, all the new weapons, all the new enemies, biomes, bosses, and we can very quickly seed them into this new map, and then designers and artists can go in and hand tweak whatever we need to for the new evolving storyline that we've got. But it's a very I want to say simple, but it's a very easy to use system, and we can very quickly respond to player feedback. We're really excited about that. That's kind of one of those underlying things that we don't talk about much, but it's exciting to developers.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about Towerborne that maybe we didn't get to?
I may have said this before, but ultimately at its base level, the big thing that we wanted to do when we started Towerborne was say we want to make a fun game for players to play with their friends or family, from young kids all the way up to old, and everybody enjoy it. The storyline isn't talking down to kids. It's not, boring for it to, we're really hitting something here that I think is special. I have a 6-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 17-year-old. We're playing it. We're having a blast. I mean, my 6-year-old can mash buttons through missions, and, he can do the easier missions. The more difficult missions, of course, take a higher skill set, but we have a blast. And that's what we're seeing here, is that players enjoying it to the same level that we were hoping for, so it feels really good to us.
That's awesome. Well, if you are here at Gamescom 2023, stop by the Xbox booth, stop by Towerborne. You can play it. It is actually very fun. I played it yesterday. This is IGN, and make sure to keep it here for the rest of Gamescom, because we got plenty more.
You're watching Gamescom Studio, powered by IGN. Age of Darkness: The Final Stand is a real-time strategy survival game that turns the genre upside down in wild and chaotic ways. Need more proof? Well, we have a new trailer just for you. Check it out.
Peggy 16.
I want justice! Vizago and the Volatists offer freedom and power. Goodbye, Edwin.
We must inform the Bishop of Vizago's return and assemble a force to stop him.
Dark crystal essence is the key to our power.
I'd rather die standing than kneel for a lunatic.
As you wish.
Your time is over.
We cannot be stopped!
Aurelia, come back with me, girl. It's not too late.
I'm sorry I can't be who you want me to be.
Well, Well, friends, we reached the end of Saturday's Gamescom Studio Show, powered by IGN. If you want a recap of any of the announcements, reveals, and trailers we showed here today, head on over to IGN.com and IGN's YouTube channel to see everything you missed.
Tomorrow is the final day of Gamescom, but we are going out wearing our Sunday's finest. That's because we've got Gamescom's annual cosplay competition, powered by Mini, celebrating the coolest and craziest custom cosplay creations that have congregated in Cologne. Wow, that was kind of a mouthful. I'm pretty proud of myself for getting through that.
You should get an award for awesome alliteration. And while I don't think we're giving out one of those, we will be giving awards for Best Dress, Best Built, and of course, Best Overall Winner of the Gamescom Cosplay Contest, powered by Mini.
And we'll have some help handing out the awards from full-time Deadpool cosplayer, Mr. Pool himself.
Whoa, can we get his autograph?
I think so.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, if you're watching at home, we wanted to say thanks and also give you a chance to win some awesome prizes. IGN Rewards is a one-of-a-kind program designed to treat IGN users with cool swag and unique giveaways. Head on over to IGN.com/rewards to find out more if you're feeling lucky.
We'll be back tomorrow for our final day of Gamescom coverage, so from everyone here at IGN, thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on the Cinefix Top 100, Mondays starting July 3rd.
Why so serious?
Hey, you! Yes, you! Do you have FOMC? Fear of missing Gamescom? Relax. Gamescom is everywhere you want. Gamescom now. Register now.
Tune into IGN 1 on your smart TVs for the latest news on your favorite releases, gameplay exclusives, and all the entertainment you can handle.
Cinefix on IGN 1, your friendly Friday night home for film fanaticism.
You're watching The Weekly Fix, ready to fill you in on anything you may have missed in the world of gaming and entertainment.
Welcome to Should I Play This? This is what to watch here on IGN 1.
Find it all in one place for free on IGN 1.
They turned into a network. Who knew?